Chapter 167. What's going on? Could it be that Yang Yu doesn't have enough essence in his sea of consciousness? From Ning Yu's point of view, although Yang Yu is only in the late stage of the Xiantian realm, the essence in his body was vigorous enough to light up 5 stars. Why was it so strenuous? Just now, when he lit up 5 stars, he didn't consume much essence. He didn't even use up all the essence in one cyclone. Should I help him? Ning Yu furrowed his brows, and an idea popped up in his mind. He wanted to help Yang Yu. Let's wait and see. If he really can't light up the 5th star, I'll help him. Temporarily suppressing the urge to help Yang Yu, Ning Yu decided to wait and see before deciding whether to help Yang Yu or not. Compared to Ning Yu, Yang Yu was much more shocked. It could be said that he was extremely shocked. Damn it! Why does it need so much essence this time? Cursing in his heart, Yang Yu crazily poured the essence in his body into the crystal ball. But unfortunately, the 5th star was still not lit up. In fact, Yang Yu was also very helpless. Last time, he failed here, so this time he was very well prepared. The essence in his sea of consciousness was extremely huge, enough to catch up with a true martial realm martial artist. However, he didn't know why. When he poured all the essence in his body into the crystal ball, he only lit up 4 stars. The 5th star still didn't show any signs of lighting up. Just now, the essence that Ning Yu poured into the crystal ball hasn't even reached the early stage of the true martial realm. Why can he light up 5 stars, but I can't? Yang Yu was very depressed. Originally, he was full of confidence to break through to the 6th floor and even wanted to try the 7th floor. But now, it seemed that everything was in vain. Is it because of the opening of the ivory battle platform? Seeing Yang Yu struggling so much, Ning Yu was finally moved because he found that the essence that Yang Yu poured into the crystal ball was no less than the amount he poured into it. But on second thought, Ning Yu felt that the possibility was relatively small. After all, he didn't pour in much essence. Pucci. Suddenly, Yang Yu's complexion changed. His palms suddenly bounced off the crystal ball, and a sweet smell came from his throat. A mouthful of red blood sprayed onto the crystal ball. Chi! The moment the bright red blood landed on the crystal ball, a sizzling sound was heard. Immediately after, the 4 stars that had just been lit were all extinguished. Creak! At the same time, the stone door leading to the 6th floor slowly closed up. F***CK. The change in the stone door caused Ning Yu's expression to change. He could not help but curse. His eyes widened, and his mouth opened so slightly that an egg could be stuffed inside. It's over this time. The stone door to the 6th floor is closed. Yang Yu sat on the ground and gasped for breath. He murmured, "Brother Ning, I'm sorry that I've implicated you." "Brother Yang, do you know what's going on?" Ning Yu asked with a frown. Taking a deep breath, Yang Yu said, "If I'm not wrong, it should be time. Every time the stone door opens, there's a time limit. If you don't enter within the time limit, then the stone door will close. If you want to enter, you need to light up another 5 stars. If that's the case, then I'll go and light them up again." Taking a step forward, Ning Yu placed his palm on the crystal ball again. Then, threads of yuan qi flowed into the crystal ball through his palm. Buzz! Not long after, the 1st star was lit up. After another 15 minutes, the 2nd star was also lit up. Although the stars were lit up one by one, the pressure on Ning Yu increased. This time, the amount of yuan qi needed to light up 2 stars was more than 3 times that of the previous time. In other words, if he were to light up all 5 stars, he would need to use up at least 3 cyclones worth of yuan qi. When he was fighting the cloud leopard on the 4th floor, Ning Yu had used up all the yuan qi in 2 cyclones. When he was fighting Zhang Hu on the 5th floor, he had used up another cyclone's worth of yuan qi. At this moment, the yuan qi in Ning Yu's sea of consciousness was only enough for 3 cyclones. Let's do it. I don't believe that I can't light up all 5 stars today. Although there were only 3 cyclones worth of yuan qi left, Ning Yu still wanted to give it a try. Then, the yuan qi in the cyclones gushed out crazily and drilled into the crystal ball. Whoosh! The violent yuan qi danced on Ning Yu's palm, and the air seemed to be affected as it spread out in all directions. The intensity of this yuan qi. Feeling the strong fluctuation of yuan qi around Ningyu, Yang Yu was extremely shocked. His eyes revealed an aghast expression, and he even stuttered. I'm afraid he has already reached the middle stage of the real martial realm. When the yuan qi and the three cyclones gathered together, it was comparable to the yuan qi in the sea of consciousness of a martial artist in the middle stage of the real martial realm. It seems that father was right. With Ning Yu's true strength, he should be able to enter the top 50 of the innate combat list. Seeing Ning Yu like this, Yang Yu's suspicions grew. It seems that there's indeed something fishy about Zhang Hu's death. If I'm not wrong, Zhang Hu should have been killed by Ning Yu. Although Yang Yu thought so, he did not dare to say it in front of Ning Yu, because he was afraid that Ning Yu would kill him. After all, Zhang Hu was playing the role of the Zhang family's young master. If Zhang Zhe knew that Ning Yu had killed Zhang Hu, it would be a disaster for Ning Yu. Ka-ka. Just as Yang Yu's thoughts were running wild, a ka-ka sound was heard. Then, the fifth star on a crystal ball was completely lit up at this moment. Whoosh! What shocked Yang Yu even more was that the sixth star was actually lit up. Creak! Creak! The next moment, a rhythmic sound came from the stone door leading to the sixth floor, and opened bit by bit. Brother Yang, since there's a problem with the crystal ball, let's enter the sixth floor together. Focusing his eyes, Ning Yu's phantom armor appeared around his body, and he rose from the ground. Before Yang Yu could react, he grabbed his shoulder and flew to the sixth floor. Rumble. As soon as Ning Yu and Yang Yu entered the sixth floor, the stone door closed with a loud bang. Phew! On the sixth floor of the ivory tower, Ning Yu turned around to look at the stone door that had closed instantly. He let out a long sigh of relief, thinking that it was a close call. If not for the phantom armor's super speed, the heavy stone door would have pressed down on him and Yang Yu. Whoosh! When Ning Yu and Yang Yu stepped into the sixth floor of the ivory tower, there was an uproar in the square. Many martial artists looked at the sixth floor of the ivory tower in shock, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Because just now, the sixth floor of the ivory tower had lit up twice in a row. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? In an instant, two martial artists entered the sixth floor. You're not seeing things. The sixth floor of the ivory tower did light up twice, and it was lit up in a short period of time. Could it be that Zhang Hu and Yang Yu, the two geniuses, entered the sixth floor together? Chapter 168. Bam! On the high platform, Zhang Zhe slammed his palm on the chair he was sitting on, his face extremely gloomy. Two martial artists had already entered the sixth floor, which was completely out of his expectations. Based on his guess, there was only one martial artist who had entered the sixth floor, and that was Zhang Hu. Yang Yu did not even have the slightest chance of entering the sixth floor, because Zhang Hu would have killed Yang Yu on the fifth floor of the ivory tower. Now that two martial artists had entered the sixth floor, he had a bad feeling about this. Wait a little longer. There should be someone else who can enter the sixth floor. Clenching his fists, Zhang Zhe stared at the ivory tower, not moving an inch. The martial artist who entered the sixth floor, could it be Zhang Hu and Ning Yu? Beside Zhang Zhe, Yang Kuan frowned and mumbled, I know you er's strength. He is too weak compared to Zhang Hu and Ning Yu. If there are two martial artists who entered the sixth floor, it must be Zhang Hu and Ning Yu. With Ning Yu around, Zhang Hu would not dare to do anything to Yu Er. At least Yu Er's safety is guaranteed. Taking a deep breath, Yang Kuan said in a low voice, If Yu Er is safe, I will definitely thank Ning Yu when he comes out. Yang Kuan knew that Ning Yu's strength was enough to enter the top 50 of the innate realm ranking. If Zhang Hu wanted to kill Yang Yu with Ning Yu around, it would be extremely difficult. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. Hua! Zhang Zhe suddenly stood up from his chair, his eyes revealing a frightening look. Releasing the aura of a peak middle stage, true martial realm martial artist, he said to Yang Kuan fiercely, Is this your doing? Why are there only two people who enter the sixth floor? Oomph. Yang Kuan snorted and released his aura as well, and said coldly, Zhang Zhe, you old fool, I did not enter the ivory tower. How would I know what happened inside? Besides, isn't it good that two martial artists enter the sixth floor? Zhang Hu in you Pu. Hearing Yang Kuan's words, Zhang Zhe spat out a mouthful of saliva and said in a deep voice, "Don't think that I don't know." Among the three martial artists on the fifth floor of the ivory tower, aside from Hu and Zhang Yu, the other one was definitely arranged by you. Speak. What is that martial artist's rank on the innate rank list? You are being unreasonable. I have no idea what you are talking about. With a cold expression, Yang Kuan reprimanded, causing trouble here. What a disgrace. Yang Kuan, it seems like the matter between us will come to an end today. Ignoring Yang Kuan's scolding, Zhang Zhe slowly sat on the chair, placed his hands behind his back, and silently formed a hand seal. Xiao! Zhang Zhe's hand seal fell, and a martial artist behind him quietly left the square, heading towards the Zhang family. Yang Kuan narrowed his eyes and whispered a few words to an early-stage, true martial realm martial artist beside him. He then sat on a chair and closed his eyes to rest. Although the two of them did not start a conflict, some sharp-eyed martial artists could tell that there would be a bloodbath in Ivory City soon. The conflict on the square was just a small interlude. Meanwhile, on the sixth floor of the ivory tower, looking at the round altar in front of him, Ningyu frowned in confusion. It had been an hour since he and Yangyu entered the sixth floor of the ivory tower, but they still had not figured out how to pass this floor. On the fourth floor of the ivory tower, Ningyu had forced out the information that this floor was a test of one's talent. As long as one's talent met the requirements, one would be able to enter the seventh floor. However, Ningyu had no idea how to test his talent. There was not even a hint. Then, Ningyu shifted his gaze to Yangyu. "Don't look at me." Yangyu shrugged and said, "I have never been to the sixth floor, so I don't know what to do on this floor." Yangyu had only made it to the fifth floor last time, so he knew nothing about the test on the sixth floor. "We can't keep waiting here, can we?" Ningyu moved his feet and walked toward the altar. Rumble. However, as soon as Ningyu moved, a rumbling sound came from the altar. Then a white shadow flew out of the altar and floated in the air. Swoosh! As soon as the white shadow appeared, Ningyu's eyes narrowed, and he quickly stepped back. With a grave expression, Ningyu said in a deep voice, "Why is it you again?" The white shadow on the altar was none other than the white shadow that Ningyu had seen on the third floor of the ivory tower. "Hey, little boy, we meet again." With a smile, the white shadow said, "I didn't expect you to come to the sixth floor so quickly. I'm really surprised." I'll cut to the chase. This floor is very simple. As long as your talent meets the requirements, you can enter the seventh floor. As the white shadow spoke, he shook his wrist, and two pieces of jade flew out of the altar. Swoosh! Swoosh! With a casual toss, the pieces of jade flew toward Ningyu and Yangyu respectively. Each of you can force a drop of your blood essence onto the jade. As long as you can break it, you will pass the test. The white shadow saw the confusion in Ningyu and Yangyu's eyes and explained, "This jade is carved from a 10,000-year-old cold jade. A small formation was carved in it with a strong soul power. As long as the talent in your blood is high enough, the small formation will be broken. By then, the jade will naturally break, and you will be able to enter the seventh floor." "Isn't this a test of talent? Why is it a test of blood talent?" Ningyu asked with a frown. Talent is divided into acquired talent and innate talent. The talent in your blood is innate talent. The white shadow smiled and said, "Only when your innate talent meets the requirements of the test can you enter the seventh floor. If you want to test for acquired talent, find a way to get to the 10th floor." As soon as he finished speaking, the white shadow's figure flashed and disappeared into the altar. After the white shadow disappeared, Yangyu looked at the jade in his hand and said to Ningyu, "Should I drip my blood essence on it?" Actually, Yangyu was a little worried. After all, dripping his blood essence on an unknown jade might cause unnecessary trouble. "Drip!" With a cold expression, Ningyu shouted in a deep voice, "Since we've come to the ivory tower, we shouldn't suspect anything. I can feel that the white shadow is very powerful. If it wants to kill us, it'll be as easy as blowing off dust." In the next moment, Ningyu forced a drop of blood essence and dripped it onto the jade. Buzz buzz. As soon as Ning Yu's blood essence dripped onto the jade let out a buzzing sound. Then with a crack it broke. Seeing Ning Yu's action, Yang Yu also dripped a drop of blood essence on the jade. However, when his blood essence dripped onto the jade, there was no reaction from the jade. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Chapter 169. Gone? Where did Ning Yu go? The sudden change caused Yang Yu to turn pale with fright. The shock in his eyes could be seen clearly, and he even revealed a terrified expression. He had never encountered such a strange thing before. The four beams of light had taken Ning Yu away. Could it be? Ning Yu has entered the 7th level. Suddenly, Yang Yu's eyes widened and his face was filled with disbelief. However, on second thought, Ning Yu's blood essence had caused the jade block to shatter. In other words, Ning Yu's innate talent was very high and had met the requirements of the assessment. The White Shadow had said that as long as one's talent reached the requirements of the assessment, one could enter the 7th level. Now it seemed that Ning Yu must have entered the 7th level. Yang Yu was a little depressed at the thought. After all, he and Ning Yu had entered the 6th level together. Now that Ning Yu had successfully entered the 7th level, he had to stop here. Forget it. Since I can't enter the 7th level, I'll just cultivate here. The concentration of primordial chi in the ivory tower was several levels higher than in the outside world. Cultivating here would yield twice the results with half the effort. Since the ivory tower did not send Yang Yu out, he did not think too much about it. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and began cultivating. Whoosh! The light from the 7th level of the ivory tower caused a huge commotion in the square. Many martial artists looked at the ivory tower in shock. The shock on their faces did not fade away for a long time. Someone actually made it to the 7th level of the ivory tower. This is unbelievable. Yeah, to be able to make it to the 7th level, he must be a peerless genius. In my opinion, the one who made it to the 7th level must be Zhang Hu. After all, his strength is obvious to all. Now I'm looking forward to seeing if he can make it to the 8th level. The 8th level? As long as he can make it to the 8th level, he can enter the Sacred Institute of Danwu College unconditionally. Let's wait and see. At the edge of the square, a man in white frowned as he looked at the ivory tower with a puzzled expression. The aura tracking treasure sensed a familiar aura here. Why did it disappear? Ever since he entered Ivory City, the white-robed man's aura tracking magic treasure had sensed a faint aura. Following this faint aura, he found this square. Moreover, according to the guidance of the aura tracking magic treasure, the weak aura completely disappeared at the entrance of the ivory tower. Looks like the person I'm looking for has entered the ivory tower. The corner of the man in white's lips curled up. He decided to wait here quietly. After all, with his cultivation level, there was no way he could enter the ivory tower. Whoosh! Suddenly, the white-robed man's expression changed, and he could not help but look into the distance. Two half-step primal core realm martial artists? From the air, the white-clothed man sensed two slightly powerful auras undulations. These auras undulations indicated that their owners were half-step Yuan dance stage practitioners. I didn't think that there would be two half-step origin core realm martial artists here. Ivory City is indeed one of the top cities in the Great Xia Kingdom. Taking a deep breath, the man in white ignored the situation around him. Instead, he locked his aura on the exit of the ivory tower, hoping to find the person he was looking for. This is the 7th floor of the ivory tower. In a slightly dark room, Ning Yu looked left and right and muttered, "Why do I feel like I am in a sealed secret room? Kiki, it has been a long time since someone came to the 7th floor of the ivory tower." Just as Ning Yu was feeling suspicious, a young lady wearing a light blue outfit appeared in midair. She floated in midair and said, "I hope you will not disappoint me." Late stage, Xiantian realm? Looking at the lady in blue in midair, Ning Yu could not help but be shocked. He then said, "You are the examiner for this round? As long as I can defeat you, I will be able to pass this round and enter the 8th floor?" Oomph, such arrogance. Whether or not you can enter the 8th floor, you will have to defeat me first. With a cold snort, the lady in blue moved swiftly and appeared in front of Ningyu in a blink of an eye. Then, the lady in blue used her slender palm to ruthlessly chop at Ningyu's neck. What hot temper! Just one word and you'll start a fight. Ningyu did not take the lady in blue seriously. After all, there were not many warriors in the late stage of the Khanate realm who could defeat him. However, just as Ningyu was about to gather the yuan qi on his wrist and attack the lady in blue, his face changed drastically. This was because the yuan qi in the 6 cyclones in his sea of consciousness had been exhausted. At this moment, there was not a single bit of yuan qi in his sea of consciousness. Damn it! Cursing, Ningyu moved his soul force and controlled the wind, thunder, and fire to rush out of the cyclones and attack the lady in blue's palm. Puff! The wind, thunder, and fire collided with the lady in blue's palm, and a loud sound was heard. Then, Ningyu saw a shocking scene. He saw the lady in blue turn her wrist and actually grab the wind, thunder, and fire in her hand. Not bad. Wind, thunder, and fire. It seems that you are an alchemist, and your soul force is not weak. Throwing away the wind, thunder, and fire, the lady in blue said lightly, "Don't think that you can look down on me, because I am in the late stage of the Khanate realm. To tell you the truth, this body is just a phantom that I left behind. Show me your true strength, or I will beat you out of the ivory tower." The lady in blue rushed out again and launched a powerful attack at Ningyu. "I am really King Dog." Seeing the lady in blue attack, Ningyu quickly took out the phantom armor and retreated. In fact, Ningyu also wanted to show his true strength, but he had no way at this moment. The yuan qi in his sea of consciousness was exhausted, and the wind, thunder, and fire were not a match for the lady in blue. How could he show his true strength? Moreover, when he tried to cast a soul attack, he was surprised to find that his soul force seemed to be restricted. He could not cast any soul attack. His yuan qi was exhausted, and his soul force could not leave his body. Therefore, Ningyu only had one choice, and that was to run while wearing the phantom armor. Fortunately, the phantom armor had been completely refined by Ningyu, and his soul force could enter the phantom armor. Otherwise, with Ningyu's current state, sooner or later, he would be beaten out of the ivory tower by the lady in blue. No, I have to think of a way. While running, Ningyu secretly thought of a countermeasure. "Brat, you only know how to run." The lady in blue was very angry, because the cultivation of her phantom body was only at the late stage of the Khanate realm. Its speed could only reach the middle stage of the true martial realm. Compared to the speed of Ningyu's peak middle stage true martial realm, it was a bit worse, causing her to be unable to catch up with Ningyu. "Not running? Do you want me to stop and let you hit me in vain?" Pursing his lips, Ningyu controlled the phantom armor and continued to run. Because his soul force had reached the late stage of grade 4, the lady in blue could not catch up with him in a short time. Chapter 170. I'm so angry, I'm so angry. Hearing Ningyu's words, the blue-robed woman was very angry. It could be said that she was extremely angry. Originally, she thought that her speed was comparable to a martial artist in the middle stage of the true martial realm, which was already very good. But now, seeing Ningyu's speed, she felt that her speed was too slow. Since her speed was not comparable to Ningyu's, the blue-robed woman simply stopped and coldly looked at Ningyu. Shua! Seeing the blue-robed woman stop, Ningyu also quickly controlled the phantom armor and stopped in front of the blue-robed woman. Although he stopped, Ningyu's spirit was still highly concentrated. His eyes were firmly staring at the blue-robed woman. As long as she made the slightest movement, he would immediately escape. Didn't they say that this round would test my strongest battle strength? Why did a tigress come out? Cautiously staring at the blue-robed woman, Ningyu muttered. There was no essence chi in his sea of consciousness, and his soul attack spells were also restricted, so how could he test his strongest battle strength? After a brief complaint, Ningyu busily operated the third layer of the transformation spirit technique and quickly absorbed the essence chi inside the high-grade essence crystal. Kacha! Soon, a piece of high-grade essence crystal shattered, and the essence chi inside was completely absorbed. His essence chi absorption speed is so fast. Seeing the high-grade essence crystal shattered in front of Ningyu, the blue-robed woman's mouth slightly opened, revealing an incredible look. She was proud that her essence chi absorption speed was already fast enough, but who would have thought that Ningyu's absorption speed was even faster, more than twice as fast as her? In her opinion, Ningyu's essence chi absorption speed was enough to be compared with the freaks on the true martial battle list. What a freak! Rolling her eyes, the blue-robed woman completely gave up the idea of attacking. She wanted to see, after Ningyu completely replenished his essence chi, how strong would his battle strength be? Ka! 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 Time passed by minute, and with the passage of time, the essence chi in Ningyu's sea of consciousness was also increasing. 1 cyclone, 2 cyclones, 3 cyclones, 6 cyclones. A few hours later, Ningyu stood up abruptly, and his eyes shone brightly. At this moment, he had completely replenished the vitality that he had consumed. He was now in peak condition. I've been waiting for you for a long time. The moment Ningyu stood up, the blue-clothed woman took a step forward. A vigorous wave of yuan qi shot out from her body and attacked Ningyu's face. Facing this powerful yuan qi wave, Ningyu's lips curled up. With a wave of his hand, an equally powerful yuan qi wave struck out and collided with the blue-clothed woman's yuan qi wave. Qi. When the two yuan qi waves collided, there was no earth-shattering sound. There was only a crisp sound. This short exchange had caused the blue-clothed lady's expression to turn grave. Her impression of Ningyu had quietly changed at this moment. In her heart, she had already regarded Ningyu as an evenly matched opponent. With a flick of his wrist, the absolute soul sword appeared in his hand, and Ningyu asked in a low voice, "Will I be able to enter the 8th level if I defeat you?" The blue-clothed lady's eyes narrowed, and in the blink of an eye, she appeared in front of Ningyu and began to fight in close combat with Ningyu. The blue-clothed lady knew very well that Ningyu's speed was very fast. If they were to compete in speed, she would definitely not be able to catch up to Ningyu. There is only one way to defeat Ningyu, and that was to fight in close combat. Rely on reflexes and strength to defeat Ningyu. Close combat, huh? Sensing the blue-clothed lady's intention, the corners of Ningyu's mouth rose unnaturally, and a confident look appeared on his face. The reason why Ningyu was so confident was that close combat relied on reflexes and did not require much strength. According to his judgment, the blue-clothed lady's soul power was only at the early stage of Grade 4. She wanted to compete with his late-stage Grade 4 soul power in terms of reflexes. Dream on. Bang! At this moment, the blue-clothed lady had already arrived beside Ningyu and used her exquisite fist to punch Ningyu's chest. Haha, close combat, you not my. What? The blue-clothed lady smiled as her fist landed on Ningyu's chest. However, before she could finish her sentence, her expression changed drastically. This was because she realized that the Ningyu in front of her had actually dissipated. A shadow. The Ningyu that she thought she had hit was a shadow. Little ass, I'm here. In the next moment, Ningyu appeared behind the blue-clothed lady and said indifferently, "Your speed is inferior to mine, and the strength of your soul power is also inferior to mine. Whether it's close combat or long-range combat, you're no match for me. Also, I've already asked you many times. Since you won't tell me, I can only defeat you." As soon as he finished speaking, Ningyu once again turned into a shadow and disappeared. Not good. The moment Ningyu disappeared, the blue-clothed lady realized that something was wrong. She hurriedly displayed her late-stage Grade 4 soul power in an attempt to find Ningyu's location. However, just as she displayed her soul power, Ningyu appeared beside her and punched her shoulder with yuan qi pulsating on his fist. The enormous force on her shoulder caused the blue-clothed lady's expression to darken, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. "It can't be? Didn't you say that you're just a shadow? Why are you spitting blood?" Ningyu felt that it was a little inconceivable. Logically speaking, a shadow shouldn't spit blood. So how could the blue-clothed lady spit blood? Damn it! Who told you that shadows can't spit blood? Cursing in her heart, the blue-clothed lady angrily said, "This is the blood essence that I left behind on the 6th floor of the ivory tower. Now that you've forced it out of your body, I'm going to tear you apart." Blood essence? Ningyu was stunned and faintly understood. No wonder when he was on the 6th floor, he had to test his innate talent. It turned out that he wanted to leave his blood essence behind. Huh. However, now is not the time to think too much, because the blue-clothed lady's hands formed a seal and repeatedly blasted out several shadow palm prints. The power of each palm print is actually comparable to a martial artist in the middle stage of the true martial realm. Ningyu's expression turned solemn when he sensed the energy fluctuation coming from the illusory palm. Because the shadow palm prints blasted out by the blue-clothed lady, each of them was comparable to a powerful attack from a martial artist in the middle stage of the true martial realm. Teisho Kenpo. With a serious face, Ningyu waved the soul-breaking sword, and in an instant, several shocking sword rays appeared in the air. Go! As Ningyu bellowed, the several sword rays seemed to be guided and unavoidably collided with the shadow palm prints of the blue-clothed lady. Kacha! Kacha! Although the power of the blue-clothed lady's shadow palm prints was great, compared to Ningyu's Teisho Kenpo, it was much weaker, and in the blink of an eye, it was blasted away. After the shadow palm prints were blasted away, the remaining Teisho Kenpo roared and blasted towards the blue-clothed lady. What? Supreme 9 Purities Sword Art. You actually know the Supreme 9 Purities Sword Art. Are you also a member of the Supreme 9 Purities Temple? Chapter 171. You're from a Supreme 9 Purities Temple. Ningyu was shocked when he heard the woman in blue's words. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he saw the woman in blue being struck by the Teisho Kenpo and disappearing. Damn it! Not only did the disappearance of the woman in blue not make Ningyu happy, but made him look extremely solemn. The woman in blue was most likely from the Supreme 9 Purities Temple. Otherwise, she wouldn't have known about such an important cultivation technique like the Supreme 9 Purities Sword Art. Swoosh! At this moment, the white shadow that appeared on the first few floors once again appeared in front of Ningyu. Haha! Congratulations on passing the 7th floor's test. After the white shadow appeared, it first congratulated Ningyu and then said, "According to your fight just now, the ivory tower has simulated your shadow and injected the blood essence you forced out on the 6th floor into the shadow. From now on, the next cultivator who comes to this floor will have the chance to draw your phantom body and fight with you." Furrowing his brows, Ningyu asked doubtfully, "Didn't my blood essence dissipate along with the shattering of the jade piece in the 6th floor? How did you get my blood essence?" The jade was only used to test your innate talent. It didn't cause your blood essence to dissipate. On the contrary, your blood essence was preserved perfectly. The white shadow explained. All the martial artists who passed the 7th floor had their blood essence preserved and injected into the shadow. Since the blood essence had been injected into the shadow, Ningyu didn't ask any more questions and asked, "In that case, can I enter the 8th floor?" "Of course, but I have to remind you that the 8th floor of the ivory tower isn't that easy to pass. In short, you can't go wrong being extremely careful." The white shadow's hands moved rhythmically in the air. After a while, a crack appeared in the void in front of him. As time passed, the crack grew larger and larger until it was big enough for a person to pass through. "Go in. Good luck." The white shadow pointed at the huge crack and said. However, there was something that the white shadow did not say out loud. "Good luck. I can guarantee that the test that fellow gave you will definitely be related to alchemy." Taking a deep breath, Ningyu did not hesitate and leaped into the crack. Buzz! After Ningyu entered the crack, it let out a buzzing sound and then closed up again. Whoosh! At the same time, the largest square in Ivory City was unusually quiet. This sort of silence was terrifying, and it could even be described as deathly silence. Voila! The deathly silence lasted for a full 3 minutes before it was broken by numerous exclamations. Someone actually made it to the 8th floor of the ivory tower. Oh my God, I didn't expect to see a martial artist reach the 8th floor of the ivory tower in my lifetime. The last time someone made it to the 8th floor of the ivory tower was more than 10 years ago, right? This incident will definitely alert the royal family in Donwu College. I believe they will send someone here soon. This is an incident that will shake the entire Great Xia country. Numerous sects and forces will definitely try their best to recruit the martial artist who made it to the 8th floor. Do you think the martial artist who made it to the 8th floor is either Zhang Hu or Yang Yu? A martial artist at the innate stage suddenly said. Hearing the words of the martial artist at the innate stage, everyone in the square shifted their gaze to the high platform, because Zhang Zhe and Yang Kuan were there, and their eyes were fixed on the 8th floor of the ivory tower. Who the hell is this martial artist? Who is it? Zhang Zhe clenched his fists and looked extremely excited. According to the previous few floors, the martial artist who made it to the 8th floor could not be Yang Yu. In other words, it was highly likely that it was between Zhang Hu and another martial artist. If the martial artist who made it to the 8th floor was Zhang Hu, then the Zhang family in Ivory City would completely rise. He might even be recruited into the Zhang family in the capital. However, if the martial artist who made it to the 8th floor was not Zhang Hu, then it would be a disaster for him. Yang Kuan, now can you tell me who is so capable to make it to the 8th floor of the ivory tower? Zhang Zhe rolled his eyes and said, How could I possibly know? Yang Kuan was also very shocked. He also did not know who the martial artist who made it to the 8th floor was. In his mind, there were two candidates. The first was Ning Yu, and the second was Zhang Hu. However, he was more inclined to believe Ning Yu. After all, he had witnessed Ning Yu's strength. You win, Zhang Zhe said coldly, forcibly suppressing his anger. Originally, he had planned to attack the city governor's mansion when Zhang Hu came out of the ivory tower. Now, it seemed that he had to postpone this plan, because it would not be long before the martial artists from Donwu College and the royal family arrived at Ivory City. If he dared to cause trouble at this critical juncture, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, Zhang Zhe could only suppress his anger and wave his hand to signal the martial artists who were hiding in the surroundings to retreat. Phew! Yang Kuan heaved a sigh of relief when he felt the powerful auras around him disappear. Yang Kuan was very clear that if the city governor's mansion and the Zhang family fought to the death, the city governor's mansion would definitely lose. At the very least, the city governor's mansion did not have the capital to go against the Zhang family. In terms of high-end combat strength, the city governor's mansion and the Zhang family both had half-step Yuan Dan realm martial artists. However, the city governor's mansion and the Zhang family were too weak in terms of core strength. Once the two sides fought, the city governor's mansion would not be able to hold out for long. When the royal family martial artists arrive, I must tell them about this, Yang Kuan said slowly as he stared at the 8th floor of the ivory tower. At the edge of the square, the martial artist in white looked at the ivory tower with a playful smile on his face. The 8th floor of the ivory tower. With this level of talent, even in the Ghost Talent Hall, is enough to rank in the top 10. With an evil smile, the martial artist in white said softly, If I am not wrong, the martial artist who entered the 8th floor must be the martial artist who killed Master Lung. Now I'm looking forward to meeting him. What? Someone actually made it to the 8th floor of the ivory tower? Immediately send someone over. No matter what, we must recruit him into the Sacred Institute. In a spacious room in Donwu College, an elder suddenly stood up from his chair and said, The Sacred Institute is currently lacking manpower. We must not let anyone else get to such a prodigy before us. Principal, who should we send? A middle-aged man opposite the elder asked. Who should we send? Is there need to ask me about this? Since the Sacred Institute is lacking manpower, then send someone from the Sacred Institute. The elder was infuriated as he said, Tell old man Dongfang that if he doesn't handle this matter properly, I will take care of him. At the same time, in a luxurious study room in the Great Xia Kingdom's royal family, someone made it to the 8th floor of the ivory tower. A middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s stood up and said to the elder beside him, "Ask the third prince to make a trip to Ivory City. We must recruit that martial artist into the royal family." Chapter 172. When Ning Yu came out from the crack, he found himself in a long, narrow, and dark tunnel. So this is the 8th floor of the Ivory Tower. Ning Yu walked into the tunnel after pondering for a while. As he went deeper, he found that the temperature in the tunnel was getting higher and higher. Bean-sized beads of sweat appeared on Ning Yu's forehead and continuously dripped down along his cheeks. Wiping the sweat off his face, Ning Yu stopped and frowned. Why is the temperature getting higher? Could it be? Whoosh! However, before Ning Yu could finish his sentence, he saw a dazzling blue flame coming out from the narrow tunnel and closing in on him. Oh no! Seeing the blue flame, Ning Yu's expression changed drastically. Without any time to think, he immediately stomped on the ground and retreated quickly. Although there was still some distance between him and the flame, Ning Yu could still feel the intense heat from the flame. It made his heart palpitate. The blue flame was extremely fast. It arrived in front of Ning Yu the moment he retreated. Hiss! Endless flames burned and collided with Ning Yu's yuan qi, producing a hissing sound. Damn it, it's corrosive. The temperature of the blue flame was extremely high and it was corrosive. Ning Yu knew that the essence energy around him wouldn't last long. I must chase the flame away. With a cold expression, Ning Yu quickly took out the broken soul sword and slashed out several sword rays at the blue flame. However, the blue flame did not dissipate in the face of Ning Yu's fierce sword rays. Instead, it became even hotter. Soul power, come out. Feeling helpless, Ning Yu could only use his late-stage 4th-grade soul power to suppress the blue flame. Hiss! Just as Ning Yu's powerful soul force was about to come into contact with the blue flame suddenly turned into a cold light, and under Ning Yu's astonished gaze, it drilled into his brain. As soon as the blue flame entered Ning Yu's mind, it seemed to be provoked and flew directly towards the cyclone of wind, thunder, and fire. It didn't take long for him to enter the whirlpool of wind, lightning, and fire. Then the blue flames and the wind, thunder, and fire started fighting in the cyclone. But very quickly, the blue flames and the wind, thunder, and fire quieted down, each occupying half of the cyclone. They're actually fighting for yuan qi. Sensing the situation of the two flames in the cyclone, Ning Yu was a little dumbfounded. It turned out that they both wanted to devour yuan qi to strengthen themselves. Since that was the case, Ning Yu might as well go all the way. He injected all the yuan qi in the other 6 cyclones into the cyclones where the wind, thunder, and fire cyclones were. Today, he wanted to see whether the blue flames or the wind, thunder, and fire would gain the upper hand. However, the wind, thunder, and fire cyclones seemed to have reached an agreement. Whoever entered would absorb the yuan qi, while the other one waited quietly. Coexist peacefully? Ning Yu was dumbfounded again. He couldn't understand why the two flames that were fighting at the start could coexist peacefully now. Luckily, I managed to stabilize the blue flames. Although this situation wasn't what Ning Yu wanted, he was already very satisfied. After all, the blue flames didn't continue to cause trouble. After about 2 hours, when the yuan qi in Ning Yu's 3 cyclones was depleted, the blue flames and the wind, thunder, and fire stopped absorbing yuan qi. The wind, thunder, and fire have absorbed the yuan qi of 1 cyclone, while the blue flames have absorbed the yuan qi of 2 cyclones. Sensing the changes in the cyclone's yuan qi, Ning Yu frowned slightly and muttered, "From this, the blue flames are at least twice as powerful as the wind, thunder, and fire cyclones." Since he had solved the problem of the blue flames, Ning Yu collected his thoughts and continued to walk deeper into the tunnel. After walking for about a quarter of an hour, the area before him suddenly opened up. Roar! However, the next earth-shattering roar caused Ning Yu's expression to change greatly. This isn't this too, asterisk head up? As he stared at the enormous creature that had let out the roar, Ning Yu was somewhat dazed, completely unable to believe what he was seeing. In front of him was a giant lion. This lion was really too big. Standing in front of it, Ningyu was as small as a pocket-sized person. Most importantly, the powerful aura emitted from the lion's body caused Ningyu's heart to sink to the bottom. Yuan Dan's stage. The giant lion in front of him was covered in golden fur and constantly emitted pressure, indicating that it had already surpassed the peak of the true martial realm and reached the Yuan Dan stage. Damn it! Cursing in his heart, Ningyu cautiously said, "We have no enmity between us. I will leave now." If you leave now, it means that you have given up on the 8th floor of the Ivory Tower. A powerful voice came from the Golden Lion King's mouth. Hearing the Golden Lion King's words, Ningyu was slightly startled. Then, as if he had thought of something, his eyes widened and he said in disbelief, "The condition to pass the 8th floor of the Ivory Tower. Could it be that I have to defeat Senior?" Defeat me? Do you have the ability to do so? With a cold snort, the Golden Lion King said in a deep voice, "Since Old Bai has told me, then I will not make things difficult for you. The test for this floor is very simple. Refine a true martial pill." Hearing this, Ningyu asked, "Senior, are you sure you only want to refine a true martial pill?" Although the true martial pill was extremely difficult to refine, with Ningyu's current soul strength and the experience from his previous life, it was not difficult to refine a true martial pill. If one could pass the 8th floor by refining a true martial pill, wouldn't it mean that many people would be able to pass this floor too? Is it that simple? The Golden Lion King raised his eyebrows and waved its front paws. Suddenly, Ningyu's expression changed because he realized that the blue flames in his chi whirlpool had become violet. Swoosh! Not long after, the blue flames came out of his chi whirlpool and floated in the air. Whoosh! 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 Then, the Golden Lion King opened its mouth and spat out a few streams of blue flames, floating in the air. Then, the blue flames in the air slowly merged together under Ningyu's astonished gaze. Looking at the flames that had merged together in the air, Ningyu's mouth was slightly open. He was in disbelief. Gulp! Swallowing his saliva, Ningyu said in a deep voice, "It's the Indigo Spiritual Fire, ranked 280th on the Mystical Fire ranking. This floor is very simple. Use the Indigo Spiritual Fire to refine the true martial pill. No other flames are allowed." Saying this, the Golden Lion King flicked its ear and threw out a bag of medicinal ingredients. On top of that, the Indigo Spiritual Fire in the air also flew to Ningyu and floated above his head. Hearing the Golden Lion King's words, Ningyu was completely dumbfounded. His face was filled with utter confusion. The Indigo Spiritual Fire was a mystical fire, ranked 280th on the Mystical Fire ranking. But that was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that the Golden Lion King had refined the mystical fire. Chapter 173. Senior, the Azure Spiritual Fire has already been refined by you. How can I use it to refine the true martial pill? Although Ningyu knew that the Golden Lion King was powerful, this stage was a little unrealistic for him. He braced himself and said, "This is too difficult. Didn't you say it was easy just now? Why are you saying it's difficult now?" Curling his lips, the Golden Lion King said lightly, "Don't bullshit with me. 2 hours. I will come and take a look in 2 hours. If you can't make the true martial dam by then, get the hell out of here." Whoosh! After saying that, the Golden Lion King's huge body flashed and disappeared. However, the moment the Golden Lion King disappeared, a voice appeared next to Ningyu's ears. "I will leave the Azure Spiritual Fire here. If you have the ability to erase my soul imprint, then the Azure Spiritual Fire is yours." Whoosh! Hearing the voice, Ningyu's eyes narrowed, and he said in surprise, "Are you serious?" "Yes, but it depends on whether you have the ability or not." The Golden Lion King's voice appeared in the air. "Remember, you only have 2 hours." Buzz! After the Golden Lion King disappeared, it quickly appeared in another hidden space. If Ningyu was here, he would be shocked because there was an old man sitting in front of the Golden Lion King. It was none other than the White Shadow. Seeing the Golden Lion King, the white illusory figure smiled and said, "Golden Lion, aren't you afraid of failing miserably? Ningyu might really snatch away your azure spirit fire." Late stage, Xiantian Realm. Late stage, 4th rank soul force. How can he erase the soul imprint I left in the azure spiritual fire? The Golden Lion King sat on the chair and said in disdain, "I'm not bragging, but even a Yuan Dan Realm warrior might not be able to erase the soul imprint in the azure spiritual fire. To tell you the truth, Ningyu is not simple." The White Shadow clearly wanted to remind the Golden Lion King and said, "On the 5th floor, he defeated a genius from the Corpse Sex Ghost Talon Palace. Moreover, he used the Corpse Sex Dark Gold Spirit Corpse." Dark Gold Spirit Corpse? Could it be that Ningyu is also a member of the Corpsine sect? The Golden Lion King raised his brow and suddenly stood up. His expression became gloomy, and he said, "If he really is someone from the Corpse sect, then we can't let him live." The White Shadow said, "Don't be impulsive. Ningyu is not a member of the Corpse sect. He just has some trump cards." "Old White, do you think that Ningyu can use my blue spirit fire to refine a true martial Dan?" Golden Lion King frowned. Whether or not he can refine the true martial Dan, I don't know. It depends on his own luck. The White Shadow smiled and said, "I'm just reminding you that you can't go back on your word if you fail miserably." "Humph. When have I, the Golden Lion King, ever gone back on my word?" The Golden Lion King coldly snorted and said fiercely, "As long as he has the ability. So what if I give him the blue spirit fire?" Pucci. At the same time, on the 8th floor of the Ivory Tower, looking at the blue spirit fire floating above his head, Ningyu frowned and was thinking of a solution. Just now, he tried to separate a bit of his soul force to approach the blue spirit fire. However, as soon as his soul force got close to the blue spirit fire, it was burned and dissipated. If I'm not wrong, the Golden Lion King's soul force has reached the late phase of the 5th grade. The soul imprint he left in the blue spirit fire has also reached the middle phase of the 5th grade. After taking a deep breath, Ningyu mumbled, "I can only use the Netherworld Samsara Palm's 4th palm strike, Underworld Tyrant Palm." The Netherworld Samsara Palm was a palm technique that attacked the soul and was extremely powerful. Under normal circumstances, with Ningyu's soul force at the late phase of the 4th grade, it was impossible for him to enter the blue spirit fire. However, the Underworld Tyrant Palm was different. Ningyu could envelop his soul force in the Underworld Tyrant Palm and hide the aura of his soul force. Underworld Tyrant Palm. Ningyu did it immediately. His wrist quickly formed a seal, and a palm print that wasn't considered big was formed and floated above his wrist. Hiss! In the next moment, Ningyu released all the soul force in his body and drilled into the Underworld Tyrant Palm. "Go!" As Ningyu shouted, the Underworld Tyrant Palm was guided and attacked the blue spirit fire quickly. Pucci. Feeling the Underworld Tyrant Palm approaching, the blue spirit fire immediately wanted to resist. 2/3 of its soul force surged out, hoping to block the attack of the Underworld Tyrant Palm. Now's the time. When the Golden Lion King's soul force surged out of the blue spirit fire, Ningyu reacted quickly and took out the soul-breaking sword. With a stab, the sword landed right on the Golden Lion King's soul force. Buzz! The soul-breaking sword was a heaven-ranked devouring flying sword. It could even devour Master Lung's 6th grade soul force, let alone the Golden Lion King's 5th grade soul force. In an instant, the Golden Lion King's soul force was completely devoured by the soul-breaking sword. Underworld Tyrant Palm, go in! After his attack succeeded, Ningyu didn't stay idle. Instead, he controlled the Underworld Tyrant Palm and drilled into the blue spirit fire. After the Underworld Tyrant Palm entered the blue spirit fire, it exploded. Vigorous soul force surged out and enveloped a ball of golden soul force from all directions. "Senior Golden Lion King, I'm sorry." After pausing for a while, Ningyu clenched his teeth and surged his soul force into the soul force crazily. Since 2/3 of the soul force in the soul force had been devoured by the soul-breaking sword, the remaining 1/3 did not last for long before it was completely destroyed by Ningyu. Soul force imprint. Ningyu focused his eyes and separated a part of his soul force to imprint a soul force in the blue spirit fire. After Ningyu imprinted the soul force, the Golden Lion King suddenly stood up from the chair in the secret space. He felt something sweet in his throat and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. What? This is impossible. The Golden Lion King couldn't care less about the blood at the corner of his mouth. He was shocked and said, "This is impossible. How is this possible? This is absolutely impossible." Golden Lion, could it be that Ningyu really took away the blue spirit fire? Seeing the Golden Lion King's reaction, the White Shadow was shocked as well. Although he said that he thought highly of Ningyu, he didn't believe that Ningyu could control the blue spirit fire. One must know that the Golden Lion King's cultivation was at the beginning stage of the primal core stage, and his soul force was at the advanced stage of the 5th grade. Whether it was martial arts cultivation or soul force, the Golden Lion King absolutely crushed Ningyu. How could Ningyu take away the control of the blue spirit fire? Yes. The Golden Lion King took a deep breath. At this point, he had no choice but to accept this reality. The blue spirit fire that he was so proud of had been completely taken away by Ningyu. No, I went through so much trouble to obtain the blue spirit fire. I can't let Ningyu have it so easily. The Golden Lion King's face turned cold, and he flew towards a space where Ningyu was. Chapter 174. Whoosh. Since the Golden Lion King was worried about his indigo spiritual fire, he immediately appeared on the 8th floor of the tower. Where's Ningyu? However, when the Golden Lion King appeared on the 8th floor of the ivory tower, it had a terrible look on its face. He did not see Ningyu here. He unleashed his soul power, but he did not sense any aura of the indigo spiritual fire either. All of a sudden, the Golden Lion King seemed to have thought of something and exclaimed, "Don't tell me he has entered the 9th level." "That's possible," the White Shadow said. Oh no, this is too much." The Golden Lion King's face turned pale. It seemed that the White Shadow was right. He had failed miserably this time. The indigo spiritual fire was ranked 280th on the mystical fire leaderboard. It was a great helper for making pills. Without the indigo spiritual fire, his alchemy skills would drop by a few levels. Moreover, the 9th floor of the ivory tower was different from the lower floors. He could speak and come and go freely from the first 8 floors of the ivory tower to the lower floors. However, he was not even qualified to enter the 9th floor of the tower. What kind of freak is Ningyu? The Golden Lion King's face darkened. He had never thought that Ningyu would be able to refine the true martial pill so quickly. Even with his alchemy skills, it was impossible for him to refine the true martial pill in such a short time. "Elder Bai, can you think of a way to communicate with the people on the 9th floor?" The Golden Lion King asked Elder Bai for help after some thought. However, before he could finish his sentence, the White Shadow shook its head and said, "Golden Lion King, don't even think about it. I can't enter the 9th floor of the tower either." "You can't enter either?" The Golden Lion King had the urge to slap himself. Why did he have to play a prank on Ningyu? Now, even the indigo spiritual fire is gone. Meanwhile, on the 9th floor of the tower, Ningyu looked at an old man in a black robe in front of him. He opened his mouth, but could not say a word. The black-robed old man's aura was even more powerful than the Golden Lion King's. If the Golden Lion King was at the early stage of the primal core stage, then the black-robed elder would at least be at the late stage of the primal core stage. He had even reached the pinnacle of primal core. A moment later, the black-robed old man looked at Ningyu and frowned. "Late Xiantian realm. How did you pass through the 8th floor?" Hearing the black-robed elder's words, Ningyu hurriedly held the refined, real martial pill in his hand and told the black-robed elder what had happened on the 8th floor of the ivory tower. "Nonsense. That stupid lion is really messing around." The black-robed old man released his aura and said coldly, "With your strength, Even if I give you the token and let you challenge the Sky Split Tower, you won't be able to pass the first 3 levels. Sky Split Tower. Ning Yu's complexion changed. He couldn't help but cry out. This was because in his past life, he had heard of Sky Split Tower. Sky Split Tower was located in the central continent, where the geniuses of the Sky Demon region gathered. Rumor had it that Sky Split Tower had a total of 33 floors. Since its establishment, very few people had been able to make it past the 30th floor. However, any martial artist who had made it past the 30th floor had become an all-powerful existence in the Sky Demon region. In his past life, Ningyu had also wanted to challenge Sky Split Tower, but due to various reasons, he had missed the opening time of Sky Split Tower. Now that he had the opportunity to enter Sky Split Tower in this life, Ningyu naturally didn't want to miss it. Oh, you've heard of Sky Split Tower? Seeing Ningyu's reaction, the black-robed old man raised his eyebrows and said calmly, "If that's the case, it seems that I don't need to say more. You don't want to enter Sky Split Tower. I'll send you away from the Ivory Tower." Sir, it seems that there are only 2 restrictions to enter Sky Split Tower. First, you must not be more than 30 years old. And second, your cultivation must not exceed the peak of the real martial realm. Ningyu asked, "I didn't expect you to know so much." The black-robed old man couldn't help but look at Ningyu and explained, "But those were the rules of 20 years ago. Now, there's only one rule, and that is, you must get a token in order to enter Sky Split Tower." AI. Subsequently, the black-robed old man sighed and said, "The current Sky Split Tower is no longer the Sky Split Tower of 20 years ago. Forget it. Let's not talk about it. Sir, if I break through to the 9th floor of the Ivory Tower, can I get a token to enter Sky Split Tower?" Ningyu asked again. "Your strength is very weak. If I give you the token, it will be the same as sending you to your death." The black-robed old man said in a deep voice, "Sir, I want to give it a try. If there is any fear on the road of cultivation, I will definitely not go far on the road of martial arts." Ningyu cupped his fists and said, "Sir, please grant me my wish." "Boy, why don't you listen to my advice? Forget it. Since you want the token, I'll give you a chance." With that, the black-robed old man suddenly stamped his foot. The ground beside him suddenly sank, and a round pool emerged. The liquid in the pool was reddish-brown. Swish! After the pool emerged, the black-robed old man made a strange hand seal, and then a figure appeared in front of Ningyu. Xiantian Full Realm. Seeing the figure next to him, Ningyu's face changed slightly. It was not because the figure in front of him was a Xiantian Full Realm martial artist, but because of the powerful aura exuding from the martial artist in front of him, which was comparable to a martial artist at the peak of the real martial realm. Let me introduce, this is Su Wui, the martial artist who broke through to the 9th floor of the Ivory Tower last time. He is also the only martial artist who broke through to the 9th floor since the establishment of this tower. The black-robed old man pointed at the figure. Su Wui, the martial artist who occupied the first place on the innate realm battle list for 3 months. Ningyu said in surprise. Ningyu had heard from Yangyu that Su Wui was a freak. When he was at the early stage of the Xiantian realm, he had broken through to the 9th floor of the Ivory Tower. When he came out, his cultivation had reached the Xiantian Full Realm, and he was only a step away from the real martial realm. There was a rumor that not long after Su Wui left Ivory City, 3 martial artists at the peak of the real martial realm besieged him. As a result, the 3 martial artists at the peak of the real martial realm were all killed by his sword. From this, it could be seen how terrifying Su Wui's strength was at the Xiantian Full Realm. I'll give you a chance to defeat Su Wui. Of course, with your current strength, defeating Su Wui is just a pipe dream. The black-robed old man was very satisfied with Ningyu's reaction and continued. The liquid in this pool is made from 91 kinds of medicinal herbs. It contains extremely powerful energy. You can cultivate in it for 3 days, and after 3 days, you can fight with Su Wui. As long as you can defeat Su Wui, I'll give you the token and let you go to the Sky Split Tower. How about it? It's not too late to give up now. The black-robed old man concluded that Ningyu would definitely give up and laughed. However, Ningyu's next words made the black-robed old man's face turn a little ugly. Senior, I want to give it a try. Chapter 175. You win. I'll come back in 3 days. I'll let Shiwu-i fight you then. Seeing Ningyu jump into the pool without any preparation, the black-robed elder's mouth twitched. He waved his hand and left with Shiwu-i. Chi. As for Ningyu, he didn't think too much when he jumped into the pool. But after entering the pool, he felt his scalp go numb. Hiss! The reddish-brown liquid in the pool wrapped around Ningyu's skin. The feeling of being hot one moment and cold the next made Ningyu suck in a breath of cold air. The energy contained in this reddish-brown liquid is several levels higher than the intermittent cold jade fluid. Enduring the pain on his skin, Ningyu hurriedly used the spiritual transformation technique and began to slowly absorb the energy in the reddish-brown liquid. The intermittent cold jade fluid was a 6th-grade medicinal liquid. Its medicinal effects were equivalent to a 6th-grade medicinal pill. If Ningyu's guess was right, the reddish-brown liquid was at least a 7th-grade medicinal liquid. The energy contained in it was even more powerful than a 7th-grade medicinal pill. Absorb. Ningyu's soul surged as he circulated the spiritual transformation technique to the extreme. The powerful energy around him broke through the surface of his skin and slowly entered his body. Wong. Ningyu had already cultivated the spirit transformation art to the 3rd level. The speed at which he absorbed primordial energy and energy was extremely fast. In just 10 minutes or so, he felt that the primordial energy in his sea of consciousness was bursting to the brim. He couldn't store anymore. No, if this goes on, I'll definitely explode and die. Ningyu's face changed as he stopped circulating the spiritual transformation art. With a thought, he entered his consciousness and observed the 6 cyclones in it. Ningyu was really surprised by this observation, because he discovered that among the 6 cyclones, at least 3 of them seemed to be on the verge of exploding. The explosion of a cyclone was no laughing matter. It might even blow up Ningyu's sea of consciousness. Thus, Ningyu's face turned somewhat ugly to behold. Suddenly, Ningyu clenched his teeth and said fiercely, "Let's do it. The pool contains such a huge amount of energy. Why don't I take this opportunity to try splitting the cyclone?" Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He immediately calmed his mind and activated the spirit transformation art, controlling the energy into one of the cyclones. Moreover, Ningyu had also controlled the speed at which the energy entered the cyclone. It was neither too fast nor too slow. Kacha! About a quarter of an hour later, a cracking sound came from Ningyu's sea of consciousness. Faster. Hearing this cracking sound, Ningyu did not hesitate and immediately increased the speed at which he absorbed the energy. Ka. As the speed at which the energy was being absorbed increased, a cracking sound could be heard. Pong. 2 hours later, a deep sound rang out. Then, Ningyu's face lit up with joy. One of the cyclones has split into 2. At this moment, one cyclone in Ningyu's sea of consciousness had successfully split into 2. In other words, there were a total of 8 cyclones in his sea of consciousness. Ningyu did not let his guard down just because one cyclone had successfully split into 2. Instead, he carefully activated the spirit transformation art and controlled the energy to enter the other cyclone. After all, he had 3 days, so Ningyu did not panic at all. Everything proceeded in an orderly manner. Pong. As time passed, the sounds of the cyclones splitting in Ningyu's sea of consciousness continued to ring out. About 10 hours later, when the last dull sound rang out, Ningyu let out a long breath. All 6 cyclones have successfully split. Looking at the 12 cyclones in his sea of consciousness, Ningyu nodded his head in satisfaction. To be precise, there were a total of 13 cyclones in his sea of consciousness, including the cyclones of wind, thunder, fire, and azure spiritual fire. The maximum number of cyclones a Sciention realm martial artist could split into was 16 cyclones. Now, When Ningyu was in the late stage of the Xiantian realm, he had already split the cyclones into 13 cyclones. Before advancing to the true martial realm, there was still a chance for him to continue splitting the cyclones. Let me see how much energy a cyclone can hold. His eyes narrowed. Ningyu operated the spirit transformation art to the extreme. The energy in his body followed the spirit transformation art and entered his sea of consciousness, finally flowing into the cyclones. Xiantian Great Completion. True Martial Realm Early Stage. True Martial Realm Early Stage. True Martial Realm Middle Stage. Half an hour later, Ningyu's eyes were wide open, his face filled with disbelief. True Martial Realm Middle Stage. The energy in my cyclones is actually comparable to a true martial realm middle stage martial artist. In fact, it was no wonder that Ningyu was shocked. The energy in one cyclone was equivalent to a true martial realm middle stage martial artist. 12 cyclones were equivalent to 12 true martial realm middle stage martial artists. To be precise, if Ningyu filled the cyclones with energy, his combat strength would at least be several times stronger than before. 11 more. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu no longer thought about it. Instead, he operated the spirit transformation art and began to replenish the energy in the remaining cyclones. Shua. One day later, Ningyu's eyes were filled with excitement, because at this moment, he had filled all 12 cyclones with energy, reaching his peak state. Not enough. With my current state, it's impossible to defeat Su Wui. Although his strength had increased a lot, when he thought of Su Wui, the powerful existence who occupied the first place on the innate realm ranking for 3 months, Ningyu's face turned cold, and he said in a deep voice, Xiantian Full Cycle. I want to break through to the Xiantian Full Cycle. Ningyu knew that he had only cultivated for a short period of time. If he wanted to defeat Su Wui, there was only one way, and that was to advance to the Xiantian Full Cycle. Only by advancing to the Xiantian Full Cycle and increasing the Yuan Qi capacity in the cyclones would he have a chance to defeat Su Wui. However, the chance was not very big. In fact, Ningyu had just advanced to the Xiantian late phase not long ago. If it wasn't to defeat Su Wui, it would be impossible for him to break through to the Xiantian Full Cycle in such a short period of time. After all, the former first place on the innate realm ranking gave Ningyu a lot of pressure. Swoosh. Swoosh. At the same time, at the gate of Ivory City, 2 figures suddenly appeared. They were so fast that in the blink of an eye, they appeared above the square where the ivory tower was located and steadily landed on the high platform. Shua. Seeing these 2 figures, all the martial artists on the high platform, including Yang Kuan and Zhang Zhe, stood up. Not only that, everyone in the square also shifted their gaze to the high platform. More accurately, they shifted their gaze to the 2 figures that suddenly appeared on the high platform. Who are they? Why can't I feel a trace of Yuan Qi from them? I can't feel it either. However, I'm sure that they are not ordinary people. I know that too. Look at Zhang Zhe and Yang Kuan. They're standing on the same spot, and they don't even dare to breathe. Their foreheads are even sweating. Could it be that they're also here for the martial artist in the ivory tower? Chapter 176. Do you know who the martial artist on the 8th floor of the ivory tower is? One of the 2 figures was an old man, and the other was a middle-aged man in his 40s. The old man glanced at the ivory tower, then turned to Yang Kuan and said in a deep voice, to be able to enter the 8th floor of the ivory tower, you have reached the standard of the Sacred Institute. You can enter the Sacred Institute as an exception. Sacred Institute? You are from Damu College. Hearing the old man's words, Yang Kuan was first stunned. Following that, he revealed an astonished expression as he exclaimed, I know. You guys are here to recruit the genius martial artists from the Ivory Tower into the Dan Wu Academy's Sacred Institution. Sigh. Actually, I don't know who the martial artist on the 8th floor of the Ivory Tower is. Then Yang Kuan sighed and said, among the martial artists who entered the Ivory Tower this time, the The one who has the highest chance of entering the 8th floor is Zhang Hu from the Zhang family. After knowing that the old man and the middle-aged man were from Danwu College, Yang Kuan did not dare to slight them at all and maintained a respectful expression. After all, Danwu College was a huge force in the Great Xia Kingdom. Even the royal family had to show some respect to them. Not to mention, he was just the governor of a small ivory city. Zhang Hu? The old man raised his eyebrows and said, I don't care if he is Zhang Hu or Yang Hu. He is already a member of the Sacred Institute. Haha, when did the vice dean of the Sacred Institute become so domineering? However, before the old man finished his words, a loud laughter rang out. After that, a figure tore through the void and appeared, descending on the high platform. Whoosh! Whoosh! After this figure appeared, another 2 figures appeared and leaped onto the high platform. Third Prince. On the high platform, Yang Kuan hurriedly took a step forward and cupped his fists. I didn't know the third prince was coming. Please forgive me for not going out to welcome you. It's okay. I was also ordered to come here in the face of danger. It's not a crime to be ignorant. The third prince was about 25 years old. He held a folding fan in his hand and wore a smile on his face, looking like a pale scholar. Haha, I was wondering who it was. So it's third brother Mu. The old man from the Sacred Institute was slightly stunned when he saw this figure appear abruptly, and then he smiled and said, What? You intend to fight for this genius with my Danwu College as well? Unfortunately, this genius is already a member of our Sacred Academy. You can return now. Old Ghost Fong, don't play this game with me. Waving his hand, old Mu said indifferently, Your Sacred Institute lacks people. So does the imperial family. In another year, it will be the royal clan contest on the mystic moon continent. If the Great Xia Kingdom's royal clan isn't able to distinguish themselves, the consequences will be unimaginable. The Xianyu continent's royal family battle was a grand event for the various empires. In the battle, each country could send 5 to 10 cultivators to participate. There was a wager for the battle for the throne. The lowest wager was a city the size of Ivory City. Previously, the Great Xia Kingdom had suffered a crushing defeat in the battle for the royal clan. They had lost more than a dozen cities. If they were to lose so many cities again, the Great Xia Kingdom might be demoted to a kingdom and leave the ranks of empires. Of course, not everyone could represent the royal family to participate in the contest. 3 conditions had to be met. First, the age couldn't be more than 30 years old. Second, the martial arts cultivation couldn't be lower than the true martial realm. Third, and most importantly, he must be a member of the royal clan. Old Mu, are you sure the martial artist in Ivory City is a member of the royal clan? Fong Yuanzi asked. It's easy to make him a member of the royal clan. There are many princesses in the royal clan. Just marry one to him. Mu Saming laughed. Besides, the Sacred Institute already has a peerless genius like Zhang Tianwen. Shouldn't this martial artist be given to us? Give him to you? Dream on. Fong Yuanzi said coldly. In another 6 months, it will be the 100 Academy Tournament of the Mystic Moon Continent. Although Zhang Tianwen is strong, the Sacred Institute is relatively weak. If we can recruit this genius martial artist into the Sacred Institute and train him for half a year, he will definitely be able to occupy a place on the true martial ranking. Swish, 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 swish. Just as Fong Yuanzi and Mu Sanming were arguing for Ningyu, a few more figures appeared in the sky above the square. After a while, they landed on the high platform. Then, several figures appeared on both sides of the high platform. Obviously, they belonged to 2 factions. Xiao Chong, if I'm not wrong, the Drunken Cloud Villa should be in a mess now, right? Why do you have the time to stroll around here? One of the middle-aged men said with a sinister smile. It was obvious that the 2 factions that appeared were not on good terms. I heard that not long after Zhang Wenyong's death, Zhang Jin, who went to investigate, also died tragically in Tianjin City. Why doesn't the dignified head of the Zhang family investigate the cause of their deaths? Why does he have time to come here to join in the fun? Xiao Chong curled his lips and said lightly, Swish, swish. Hearing this, Zhang Jun's expression changed. He was just about to say something but he stopped abruptly, because another two figures emerged from the entrance of the square and quickly flew onto the high platform. Little girl. Seeing the figure, Fang Yuanzi was slightly startled and immediately said, "The daughter of the current pavilion master of Shuiyu Pavilion, Lu Wei. Danwu College's assessment should be coming to the last round. Why are you here instead of participating in the assessment?" Elder Fang. Lu Wei clasped her hands at Fang Yuanzi and said, "I'm not here to join in the fun. I'm just passing by." Actually, Lu Wei had missed the final assessment of Danwu College this time, mainly to look for Ningyu. To be more precise, she wanted to ask Ningyu to find his master. Her father and the others had worked together to refine the elixir of life and death. Now that they were at a critical juncture, a huge problem had arisen. This problem could only be solved by an alchemist with a level 8 soul power. At this critical juncture, Lu Wei could not be bothered to participate in Danwu College's assessment anymore. She immediately set off for Tianxin City. Unfortunately, in Tianxin City, Lu Wei could not find Ningyu. Just as she was about to return to the capital dejectedly, she met the Emperor of the Dark World on her way. The Emperor of the Dark World told Lu Wei that Ningyu was in the Ivory Tower at this time. If she wanted to find Ningyu, she had to wait at the central square of Ivory City. Therefore, Lu Wei rushed to Ivory City without stopping and happened to encounter the gathering of so many powerful martial artists. What could it be? Shifting her gaze to the ivory fighting platform, Lu Wei opened her mouth slightly when she saw the continuous light on the 8th floor. She was shocked and whispered, "He made it to the 8th floor of the Ivory Tower? Who? Little girl, do you know the martial artist on the 8th floor? Tell me who he is. Tell me who that martial artist is. How do you know that genius martial artist? What's his name? Where's his home? Who are his family members?" Although Lu Wei's voice was very low, who were the people around her? All of them were the top martial artists in the Great Xia Kingdom. Naturally, they heard Lu Wei's whisper. Chapter 177. Surrounded by so many powerhouses, Lu Wei was stunned for a moment. She opened her mouth slightly and couldn't say a word for a long time. She did come here to look for Ningyu, but she didn't know whether the martial artist on the 8th floor was Ningyu or not. It was just a guess. Moreover, even if the martial artist on the 8th floor was Ningyu, she wouldn't say it out loud. "I don't know who the martial artist inside is." Lu Wei shook her head and said, "After all, I just arrived here. How could I know who was inside? Forget it. We won't make things difficult for you." Hearing Lu Wei's words, Fang Yuanzi raised his eyebrows and said calmly, "If that's the case, let's wait until the genius martial artist comes out from the Ivory Tower. Then everything will be clear." "All right." Mu Saming nodded and found a chair to sit on. Beside him, the third prince stood respectfully. Zhang Jun came to Zhang Zhe and whispered a few words to him. Then he sat on a chair and closed his eyes slowly. As for Xiao Chong, he found a chair on the high platform and sat down. He closed his eyes and rested. The high platform, which was bustling with noise just a moment ago, suddenly became a little quiet. Since the four powerhouses didn't speak, the others on the high platform naturally didn't dare to speak. No one on the high platform made a sound, so the whole square became abnormally quiet, so quiet that it was a little scary. Whoosh! Ningyu didn't know about the silence in the square. At this time, he was staying in the pool, and the energy around him entered his body through his skin and then crazily entered his consciousness sea. Damn it, just a little bit more. Feeling the changes in the chi whirlpool in his consciousness sea, Ningyu gritted his teeth and poured out all his soul power. He kept suppressing the energy in the pool and forcing it into his consciousness sea. Bang! A few hours later, a pleasant voice resounded in this space. Ningyu's eyes opened wide when he heard this, and wild joy appeared on his face. Crack! Following that, another cracking sound rang out. Looking at the changes in the chi whirlpool in his consciousness sea, Ningyu directly jumped out of the pool. Complete innate realm. The chi whirlpool in his knowledge sea had expanded by several times. This indicated that Ningyu had successfully broken through the Xiantian late stage and had reached the consummate stage of the Xiantian realm. Now, the amount of yuan qi contained in each cyclone should be comparable to a martial artist at the peak of the middle stage of the true martial realm. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu did not stay at the edge of the pool for too long. He leaped into the pool once more and sank to the bottom. As Ningyu continued to sink, the energy around him was like a flood or a ferocious beast, crazily drilling into his body. Fortunately, after Ningyu had advanced to the peak of the innate realm, his body's strength had increased a lot. Otherwise, with so much energy entering his body, it was very likely that his body would explode. Another few hours passed. By the end of the second day, Ningyu had filled all 12 cyclones. There is still one day left. I will use this last day to practice the supreme 9 purity sword art. His figure flashed, and Ningyu arrived at the edge of the pool. Although he had advanced to the consummate stage of the Xiantian realm, and the number of cyclones had increased to 13, Ningyu still did not have much confidence in defeating Shiwu Yi. If Ningyu's guess was right, the strength of this phantom body of Shiwu Yi could easily defeat a martial artist at the peak of the true martial realm, and could even contend with a martial artist at the half-step Yuan Dan realm. And his current comprehensive strength was at best comparable to a martial artist at the peak of the true martial realm. Facing a martial artist at the half-step Yuan Dan realm, it was basically impossible for him to win. Therefore, he had to practice the supreme 9 purity sword art to the 4th form. Only then would he have a chance of defeating Shiwu Yi. With a flick of his wrist, the soul-breaking sword appeared in Ningyu's hand. At this time, Ningyu's face was solemn because he only had one day to practice the 4th form of the supreme 9 purity sword art. The 4th form of the supreme 9 purity sword art was extremely difficult to practice. Even if he had advanced to the consummate stage of the Xiantian realm, he did not have absolute confidence that he could successfully practice it in a day. As long as I can cultivate it to the realm of initial success, it will be enough. According to Ningyu's speculation, there was hope for him to cultivate the 4th form of the supreme 9 purity sword art to the realm of initial success in a day. Swoosh! However, just as Ningyu was recalling the cultivation method of the 4th form of the supreme 9 purity sword art in his mind, a cold light suddenly swept out from his body and quickly entered the pool. A semicircular blue pendant. Although the cold light's speed was incomparably fast, Ningyu's superb perception still discovered its true form. It was the semicircular blue pendant that his father had given him. It can't be that it wants to absorb the energy in the pool, right? The moment the blue pendant entered the pool, Ningyu's expression changed slightly, and a bad feeling arose in his heart. If it was somewhere else, naturally, Ningyu would not think too much about it, and he would even help the blue pendant absorb the energy. However, it was different here, because this pool belonged to the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man only told him to cultivate in the pool for 3 days, but he did not say that he should use some kind of magic treasure to absorb the energy in the pool. Buzz! The next moment, a strong suction instantly erupted from the blue pendant, and in an instant, the remaining huge amount of energy in the pool was completely absorbed. The sudden change made Ningyu directly dumbfounded. He did not expect the blue pendant to have such a strong suction, and in just a few seconds, it actually absorbed all the energy in the pool. Crack! Crack! After that, the blue pendant flew to float in front of Ningyu, and 2 cracking sounds came from it. What's going on? Is there something in it? Hearing the cracking sounds, Ningyu frowned. He wanted to use his soul power to check on the pendant, but felt that it was not advisable. After all, the pendant was a devouring pendant, and it could devour soul power. Ningyu was not a fool. He would not let his soul power be devoured by the pendant. Swoosh! At this moment, the blue pendant turned into a shadow and instantly drilled into Ningyu's sea of knowledge. Moreover, the blue pendant did not enter the other cyclones, but directly entered the cyclone where the wind, lightning, fire, and the indigo spiritual fire were. Psst! However, what the blue pendant did next made Ning want to curse. This was because after the blue pendant entered the cyclone, it directly exploded with a strong suction force and swallowed the wind, lightning, fire into its body. F***. Ning could not help but curse, and his forehead was full of black lines. Although the wind, lightning, fire was not as precious as the indigo spiritual fire, it was still a rare flame. Just like that. No, indigo spiritual fire. Thinking of this, Ning hurriedly controlled the indigo spiritual fire to fly out of the cyclone and wrapped it around his finger. Phew! After doing all that, Ning let out a long sigh of relief and thought that it was a close call. The indigo spiritual fire was a flame on the mysterious flames ranking. If it was devoured by the blue pendant, he would not even have tears to cry. After the blue pendant swallowed the wind, lightning, fire, it became obedient and quietly stayed in the cyclone and became silent. It's good enough that I can keep the indigo spiritual fire. Ning carefully controlled the indigo spiritual fire to fly into the air, and then recalled the fourth style of the supreme 9 pure sword skill, the 9 pure sword wave. Chapter 178. Swoosh. The sword ripple was as thick as Ningyu's waist. The boundless primordial chi that it contained even shocked Ningyu. Ha! Then, the sword ripple split into two and exploded in midair. The powerful aftershock even caused the air to be compressed and scattered in all directions. No, the power of the 9 clarity sword ripple can't be so weak. Ningyu frowned and fell into deep thought. Logically speaking, the power of the fourth style of the supreme 9 clarity sword art, the 9 clarity sword ripple, shouldn't be so weak. It was only slightly stronger than the Teisho Kenpo. The reason why the 9 clarity sword ripple contained boundless primordial chi was because Ningyu had advanced to the Xiantian full cycle. The primordial chi in his sea of consciousness was abundant, and there was a lot of primordial chi wrapped around the soul-breaking sword. Hence, there was a lot of primordial chi in the 9 clarity sword ripple. Recalling the cultivation method of the 9 clarity sword ripple, Ningyu waved the soul-breaking sword and slashed out several sword ripples. Pa! Pa! Several sword waves split into two in midair before exploding in an instant. Where did I go wrong? The 9 clarity sword ripple, as the name suggested, could split into 9 to deal a fatal blow to the enemy. Now that the sword ripple was only split into 2, it was obvious that his cultivation method was wrong. Ningyu could feel that if he continued to cultivate according to this method, even if he exhausted all the primordial chi in his sea of consciousness, he wouldn't be able to make any progress. Although Ningyu didn't have high hopes of splitting the sword ripple into 9 in a short period of time, he should at least be able to split the sword ripple into 4 within a day, right? That's right, I can use soul power. Suddenly, Ningyu seemed to have thought of something and his face lit up. Then, Ningyu separated a portion of his soul power to wrap around the soul-breaking sword. He then waved the soul-breaking sword again, and a sword ripple was formed instantly, piercing into the void. Buzz! This time, when the sword ripple reached mid-air, Ningyu moved his soul power and controlled the sword ripple to split it into 4. Pa-pa-pa-pa! Just as Ningyu split his soul force into 4 strands, the huge sword wave in the air also split into 4 sword waves with a swoosh. Moreover, the 4 sword waves exploded in the air. I see. If you want to cultivate the 9 clear sword wave to the large success stage, you'll need the help of your soul power. When he saw the sword wave split into 4, Ningyu revealed an overjoyed expression because he'd already found the method to cultivate the 9 clarity sword wave. After a brief moment of surprise, Ningyu waved the soul-breaking sword in his hand and continued to cultivate the 9 clear sword wave. Since he had found the cultivation method, Ningyu's cultivation speed increased significantly. 2 hours later, the sword wave split into 5. 6 hours later, the sword wave split into 7. 10 hours later, the sword wave split into 8. 14 hours later, the sword wave split into 9. Oh, Looking at the sword wave that had split into 9, Ningyu let out a long sigh. He didn't even dare to believe his eyes. Originally, he thought that it would be very good if he could cultivate the 9 clear sword wave to the initial success stage before the 3-day time limit. Who would have thought that he had already cultivated the 9 clear supreme sword techniques 4th form, the 9 clear sword wave, successfully in 5 to 6 hours? Although Ningyu had cultivated the 9 clear sword wave to the large success stage, nothingness wasn't a pushover. Ningyu still didn't have much confidence in defeating nothingness. Therefore, he had to use the last 5 to 6 hours to adjust his condition and strive to face nothingness in his peak condition. Swoosh! Time flew, and 6 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Ningyu stood up with a swoosh and looked straight ahead with a solemn expression. This was because in front of him, nothingness stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes were shining brightly. Nothingness's current condition was very different from 3 days ago. The difference was huge. If one had to point out the difference, it would be that nothingness gave Ningyu the feeling that he had come alive. Haha, Ningyu, I used these 3 days to repair Nihility's body, Ningyu said with a smile. The black-robed elder beside Nothingness smiled. Nothingness's current body's combat power is comparable to the number 1 martial artist on the innate realm battle list. Didn't nothingness dominate the innate realm battle list for 3 months? Ningyu was taken aback. His combat power should be much stronger than the martial artists on the innate realm battle list. Could it be that the black-robed elder was kind enough to reduce nothingness's strength? Thinking of this, Ningyu's fighting spirit rose. After all, the reduction of nothingness's strength was good for him. However, the black-robed elder's next words made Ningyu want to vomit blood. Don't think too much. 3 days ago, nothingness's strength wasn't that strong. That's because his body was formed from a drop of blood essence. The black-robed elder waved his hand. In other words, 3 days ago, nothingness's combat power was only comparable to when he was on the 6th level of the ivory tower. And his current combat power is equivalent to when he was on the 9th level. That's why I said that he is comparable to the number 1 martial artist on the innate realm battle list. The black-robed elder continued. If you think that his strength is too weak, I can restore his strength to the 10th level. Hearing the black-robed old man's words, Ningyu hurriedly waved his hand and said, No, no, no. What a joke. The 9th level of nothingness was already comparable to the number 1 martial artist on the innate realm battle list. Once nothingness was restored to the 10th level, Zhou Dongwang would have no chance of winning. Not bad. You advance from the late stage to the peak of the Xiantian realm in 3 days. Your combat power has increased a lot. The black-robed elder nodded and walked towards the pool when he felt the aura from Ningyu. It seems that the medicinal liquid I brewed was of great help to you. After a while, the black-robed elder came to the side of the pool. However, his mouth was slightly agape, and he was a little dumbfounded. This was because he realized that the liquid in the pool was unusually clear. It was so clear that he could see the bottom. What's going on? Where did all the energy go? The black-robed elder rubbed his eyes and looked at the pool again. He probed the pool with his perception. Ningyu! Suddenly, the black-robed elder shouted and turned to Ningyu. What the hell is going on? It was no wonder that the black-robed elder was shocked. The medicinal liquid in the pool had taken him a long time to brew. The energy contained in it was enormous. Even if he were to absorb it, he would need a long time to fully absorb it. But now there was nothing left. I don't know either. Looking at the black-robed elder's reaction, Ningyu made up his mind not to tell the truth. Based on the black-robed elder's reaction, Ningyu was sure that if he admitted it, the consequences would be unimaginable. Even if nothingness didn't do anything, the black-robed elder would kill him himself. Senior, I jumped out of the pool after I advanced to the full foundation of the Xiantian realm. As for what happened in the pool, I don't know. Chapter 179. What you said is not without reason. The old man thought about it and felt that Ningyu wasn't lying. After all, with Ningyu's cultivation at the peak of the Xiantian realm, It was impossible for his sea of consciousness to hold so much energy. However, the old man's face sank once more. Even though it's impossible for you to absorb so much energy, you can use a magic treasure to absorb it. The old man knew very well that it wasn't difficult for some magic treasures that surpassed the heaven rank to absorb all the energy in the pool. Senior, you can't wrongly accuse me. Ningyu shrugged. If I had such a powerful magic treasure, I would have broken through to the true martial realm a long time ago. How could I still be at the peak of the Xiantian realm? Swoosh! In the next moment, the old man unleashed his aura and flashed towards Ningyu. His powerful senses were constantly searching for something on Ningyu's body. Ningyu hurriedly guarded his mind and hid the pendant in the whirlpool. Really? A moment later, the old man withdrew his aura and senses, frowned slightly, and muttered, "Did the energy in the pool really vanish in a thin air?" Ningyu stood on the spot and didn't say anything. A moment later, the old man spoke indifferently. "Forget it. I will naturally investigate this matter. Now, you can fight Su Wui. If you can defeat Su Wui, I will give you the token to enter the Tower of Sky Split and allow you to enter the 10th floor. If you can't defeat Su Wui..." At this point, the black-robed old man paused for a moment before he continued. "Then fuck off to wherever you came from and stop wasting my time." Swish! As soon as he finished speaking, the old man's figure flashed, and he merged into the void and vanished. Ningyu took a step forward, and the energy in his sea of consciousness surged out and converged on the surface of his body. Shiwuyi's expression turned slightly cold when he saw the wild and violent Yuan power around Ningyu. Soon after, his body jerked and began to swell. Numerous pitch-black lightning energy continuously surged out. Void Thunder Fist. Void One Fist blasted out, and immediately a whistling wind spread out, directly rushing towards Ningyu. Teisho Kenpo. Narrowing his eyes, Ningyu took out the Broken Soul Sword. Violent Yuan Qi wrapped around it, and he immediately sent out a shocking sword wave. After this shocking sword wave blasted out, it blasted into the void at an astonishing speed. Hiss! However, just as the Teisho Kenpo was about to hit Shiwuyi's fist, Shiwuyi stopped in midair. The next moment, Nihility's fist turned into a palm, and he grabbed at the void. Then he grabbed a pitch-black thunderbolt in his hand and flung it at Teisho Kenpo. Hiss! The thunderbolt collided with the Teisho Kenpo, and a sizzling sound erupted. Then, the thunderbolt dissipated into the void. He's actually so strong. Seeing that Teisho Kenpo had been easily broken by Shiwu-yi, Ningyu's expression turned ugly. He could not help but take a few steps back. Although the Teisho Kenpo was not his strongest move at the moment, Shiwu-yi had easily broken it. This was something that Ningyu had not expected. Phantom Armor. With a thought, the Phantom Armor appeared, and Ningyu's speed skyrocketed. The Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness gathered on his palms, and he sent out several palm prints. The palm prints, which are almost solid, lined up in a row and instantly arrived in front of Shiwu-yi. Faced with these palm prints, Shiwu-yi clearly did not take them seriously. He flicked his finger, and a cold thunderbolt shot out. Then it expanded and finally collided with the palm prints that Ningyu had sent out. Swoosh! The moment the thunderbolt and the palm prints collided, Ningyu's expression changed. This was because he saw that the palm prints that he had sent out had actually been swallowed by the thunderbolt. If this is all you've got, I'm sorry. After the attack, Shiwu-yi's body turned into a shadow, and he instantly appeared beside Ningyu. Then, a fist gradually expanded in front of Ningyu's eyes, and finally, it violently smashed into Ningyu's chest. Underworld dominating palm. Naturally, Ningyu would not sit and wait for death. In a split second, he wrapped his soul power around his palm, and in an instant he sent out a palm print. The underworld dominating palm was the fourth palm of the netherworld samsara palm, and it was extremely powerful. Ningyu had already advanced to the pinnacle of the Xiantian realm. Coupled with the Dark Overlord palm that was executed with his late-stage, fourth-grade soul power, Even a powerful martial artist like Su Wuyi would have a change in expression the moment he saw the dark overlord palm. However, Shu Yi was a peerless genius after all. Although he was a little afraid, he did not retreat. His fist couldn't be avoided, and it collided with Ning Yu's underworld dominating palm. Pa! When the two collided, a low muffled sound was heard. Then, a terrifying shock wave spread out from the point of impact. 9 clear sword wave. In the next instant, Ning Yu mobilized the two cyclones' origin energy to wrap around the soul-breaking sword. Under Shu Yi's shocked gaze, the sword stabbed out. At this moment, Ning Yu displayed his strongest move. The Supreme 9 Clear Sword Art's fourth move, 9 Clear Sword Wave. Supreme 9 Clear Sword Art? In a hidden space, two old men were sitting on stone benches. If Ning Yu was here, he would have noticed that the black-robed old man was there. Looking at the crystal on the wall, the black-robed old man wondered, is Ning Yu from the Supreme 9 Purities Temple? Above the crystal, Shu Yi and Ning Yu's every move could be seen clearly. Even their voices could be heard. This Ning Yu is not simple. Shu Yi is not his opponent. As soon as the black-robed old man finished speaking, the other gray-robed old man said, he is indeed using the Supreme 9 Clear Sword Art. Moreover, it is the fourth move, 9 Clear Sword Wave. I have already increased Shu Yi's strength to the 9th level. If Ning Yu wants to defeat him, I'm afraid it will be very difficult, right? The black-robed old man frowned. Haha, Ning Yu's strength is not limited to this. Smiling faintly, the gray-robed old man said, you can give him the token to enter the tower. Who knows, he might bring us a pleasant surprise. The black-robed old man didn't quite believe the gray-robed old man's words. However, he didn't dare to refute him directly. After all, the gray-robed old man was the 10th level's challenger. He was also the tower's guardian. That's right, I don't know who absorbed all the energy in the medicinal liquid pool. Thinking for a moment, the black-robed old man said, in your opinion, could it be Ning Yu? You don't need to worry about this. Go to the 9th level now. When Ning Yu defeats Shu Yi, don't make things difficult for him. Just send him here. Waving his hand, the gray-robed old man said, it's been a long time since I've seen a cultivator with such powerful acquired talent. I also want to see if he's really someone from the Zenith 9 Purities Palace. If he's... At this point, the gray-robed old man suddenly shut his mouth and slowly closed his eyes. Since the gray-robed old man had put it this way, the black-robed old man didn't ask anymore. His figure flashed, and he flew toward the 9th level of the tower. Chapter 180. Boom! On the 9th floor of the ivory tower, Ning Yu's face darkened. The Yuan Qi and the 6 cyclones in his sea of knowledge rushed out and floated around his body. Shwa! Then, Ning Yu held the soul-breaking sword in his hand and quickly swung it. As Ning Yu brandished the breaking soul sword, the essence energy around him surged into the breaking soul sword in a berserk manner. 9 Purities Sword Art. As soon as he shouted, a wave of sword energy suddenly formed, and then it gradually expanded in Shu Yi's eyes. Pa-pa-pa-pa-pa. Then 9 muffled sounds rang out, and the sword wave split into 9. When it was 10 centimeters away from Shu Yi, it suddenly exploded. The powerful shock wave continued to spread in all directions. Su Lei, faced with such a powerful sword wave explosion, Shu Yi's face changed, and he quickly moved his fist. However, as soon as he raised his fist, he was struck in the chest by a piercingly cold shock wave, and his body was sent flying. Pucci! After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Shu Yi struggled to stand up. Ning Yu, you are very strong. I look forward to the next time we fight. As soon as he said this, Shu Yi's body gradually became illusory. In the end, he directly disappeared. Shwa! The moment Shu Yi's body disappeared, the surrounding space was torn apart and the black-robed elder appeared in front of Ning Yu. What? You defeated Shu Yi. Standing in front of Ning Yu and looking at the blood on the ground, the black-robed elder's eyes widened and his face was full of disbelief. The strength of Shu Yi on the 9th floor of the ivory tower is equivalent to at least 2 peak true martial realm martial artists. You actually defeated him? The black-robed elder knew very well that although Shiwu Yi was not at his peak, his strength was not to be underestimated. At the very least, it was impossible for 2 peak true martial realm martial artists to defeat Shiwu Yi. Moreover, Ningyu's condition was clearly very good. He did not look like he had just fought a big battle. Could it be that Ningyu's strength was really, as the gray-robed elder said? When he thought up to this point, the black-robed old man said in a low voice, "Very good. So it turns out that you've been concealing your strength. You defeated Shiwu Yi without anyone noticing." Xiao. Saying this, the black-robed elder took out a black token and threw it to Ningyu. Catching the black token, Ningyu frowned and said, "Senior, when we arrive at Sky Split Tower, can I enter as long as I hand over this token?" "That's right. When the tower opens, there will be someone guarding the entrance. If you hand over the token, they will let you in," the black-robed elder said lightly. Then, the black-robed elder once again used his perception to search Ningyu's body, hoping to find some clues. But unfortunately, 10 minutes later, the black-robed elder withdrew his perception because he did not find anything suspicious on Ningyu's body. Moreover, Ningyu's current condition was very good. He was full of energy. Even if another Shiwu Yi came, he might still be able to defeat him. What a freak, the black-robed elder thought. If Ningyu knew what the black-robed elder was thinking, he would definitely be speechless. Defeating Shiwu Yi had cost him 10 cyclones origin chi. In other words, there were only 2 cyclones left in his knowledge C that had sufficient origin chi. The rest had all been used up. Chi. The next moment, the black-robed elder grasped at the void, and a vortex slowly appeared. "Go in. Inside is the 10th floor of the tower." The black-robed elder pointed at the vortex. "Senior, the 10th floor of the tower." Ouch. Seeing the vortex, Ningyu frowned slightly. Just as he was about to ask a question, he felt a force on his butt and fell directly into the vortex. "Why do you talk so much nonsense? I told you to go in, so go in. How many people want to enter the 10th floor of the tower, but can't?" The black-robed elder curled his lips and withdrew his right foot. Then his figure flashed, and he disappeared. Buzz. On the 10th floor of the tower, the space squirmed, and a crack appeared. Swoosh. Immediately after, a figure flew out from the crack and fell to the ground, falling face first into the mud. "What bad luck. Don't let me meet you, or else I'll make you. Climbing up from the ground, Ningyu patted the dust off his body. Before he could finish speaking, he saw a gray-robed elder strangely appear in front of him. After seeing the gray-robed elder, Ningyu forcibly stopped speaking and asked hesitantly, "May I ask who you are, senior?" From the gray-robed elder, Ningyu did not feel even the slightest fluctuation of yuan qi. However, Ningyu did not think that the gray-robed elder was someone without martial arts cultivation. After all, even the black-robed cultivator on the 9th floor of the tower might not be able to appear in front of him silently. "Haha, I am the examiner of this floor." The gray-robed elder smiled slightly and said, "Who did you say you didn't want to meet?" Ningyu scratched his head awkwardly and said, "It's just a joke. Since the gray-robed elder was the examiner of this floor, he might know the black-robed elder. Ningyu was not stupid. He would not speak ill of someone else's friend in someone else's territory. "Well, actually, you have already passed the test of this floor." The gray-robed elder waved his hand and closed the crack in midair. Then he said, "Since you could defeat nothingness on the 9th floor of the ivory tower, then the test of this floor will not be difficult for you at all. Don't mention it." The assessment on the 10th floor of the ivory tower could not be considered simple, as one had to defeat a martial artist at the peak of the true martial realm. With Ningyu's performance on the 9th floor of the ivory tower, it would not be difficult to pass the test of this floor. Any martial artist who has passed the 10th floor of the ivory tower can cultivate in the ivory space for a day, the gray-robed elder said. "The ivory space? What is that place?" Ningyu asked doubtfully. With a smile, the gray-robed elder said, "The ivory space is a time-space. The passage of time inside is extremely slow. Let me put it this way. 1 month in the outside world is 1 day inside. Swish. Hearing this, Ningyu was shocked. A space like this that could reduce the passage of time was very precious. If one was not a direct disciple of a sect, it was basically impossible to enter it to cultivate. He had never met the gray-robed elder before. Logically speaking, the gray-robed elder would not leave such a precious opportunity for him. Perhaps he had seen through Ningyu's doubts. The gray-robed elder explained, "You do not need to doubt this. The ivory tower was originally built to cultivate the experts of the Sky Demon region. When your cultivation reaches a certain level, you will naturally understand. Since you're the second martial artist to reach the top of the ivory tower, you can cultivate in the ivory space for a day." The second one? The first one was nothingness, right? Ningyu asked. Nodding, the gray-robed elder said, "Nothingness is a peerless genius. He did reach the 10th floor. It seems that the rumors outside are not all true," Ningyu mumbled. According to the rumors outside, since the ivory tower was built, only one martial artist had reached the 9th floor, and that was nothingness. Now it seemed that nothingness had also reached the 10th floor. Chapter 181. Why? You don't want to enter the ivory space to train? Seeing Ningyu's expression, the elder asked, "If you don't want to enter the ivory space, I can send you away now." No. 1 day in the ivory space is equivalent to a month's time. How can I not want to go in and train?" Ningyu hurriedly said, "I was just wondering if the yuan energy in the ivory space is much denser than the outside world." "Hee. You will know once you enter." With a smile, the elder stomped his feet on the ground, causing it to cave in. Then, a huge stone door slowly rose from the sunken ground and finally appeared in front of Ningyu. Looking at the stone door that was taller than a person, Ningyu was a little dumbfounded. Could this stone door lead to the ivory space? That's right, this stone door leads to the ivory space. The elder pointed at the stone door and said, "Go in. The stone door will naturally eject you after a day." Creak. Then, the stone door slowly opened as if someone was pushing it with their hands. After the stone door opened, Ningyu hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and dashed in. Bang! Just as Ningyu entered, the stone door suddenly closed. There is indeed a trace of an old friend's aura on him. As for whether he is her son, I still need to observe. After Ningyu entered the ivory space, the elder sat down cross-legged in front of the stone door and closed his eyes. His senses quietly left the ivory tower. Swoosh! How lively! There are actually 4 to 5 yuan dance stage warriors. Sensing the several powerful auras on the square, the corners of the gray-clothed old man's mouth rose unnaturally. If we let them know that Ningyu didn't make it to the 8th floor, but the 10th floor, I'm afraid some hidden old monsters won't sit idly by, right? Every time a warrior entered the first 8 levels of the ivory tower, that level would flash a few times, and even the 8th level would always be lit. However, even if a martial artist entered the 9th and 10th floors of the ivory tower, it would not flicker. Hence, the numerous martial artists in the plaza only thought that Ningyu made it to the 8th level. They did not know that Ningyu is currently at the 10th level. It seems that they are all here for Ningyu. Fine, when the time comes, I will let Ningyu choose for himself. Sighing softly, the gray-robed elder withdrew his perception and slowly closed his eyes. Hiss! At the same time, in the ivory space, Ningyu opened his mouth slightly and could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Before entering the ivory space, he had guessed that the density of primordial chi inside would be very high, but he had not expected it to be this high. It was so high that the gaseous vital energy had turned into liquid vital energy. Absorb. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He immediately sat down with his legs crossed and began to use the spirit transformation technique to absorb the essence chi crazily. When he was fighting with Su Wui, Ningyu had used up the vital energy in 10 cyclones. Now he could use this opportunity to replenish them completely. Compared to the gaseous vital energy, the liquid vital energy was obviously easier to absorb. In just one day, Ning had filled up the vital energy in the cyclones. Moreover, he had also changed the vital energy in the remaining 2 cyclones into liquid vital energy. There are still 29 days left. I will first stabilize my cultivation, then I will try to divide the cyclones again. Because he had advanced to the Xiantian full realm in a hurry, Ningyu had not had the time to stabilize his cultivation. Now was a good opportunity, and he could not miss it. Ningyu knew that he could only continue to divide the cyclones when his cultivation had stabilized at the Xiantian full realm. Otherwise, there was no chance of success. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, Ningyu had stayed in the ivory space for 15 days. On the 16th day, Ningyu opened his eyes and felt the changes in his sea of consciousness. He slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid qi. Not bad. My cultivation has completely stabilized at the Xiantian full realm. Nodding his head in satisfaction, Ningyu was not in a hurry to divide the cyclones. Instead, he took out the phantom armor. The phantom armor was an earth middle level magic treasure. Ning Hai had once said that if he wanted to upgrade the phantom armor to the earth upper level, he would need at least 1 million high-grade yuan crystals. As for the liquid yuan qi in this space, not to mention 1 million high-grade yuan crystals, even if it was 10 million high-grade yuan crystals, it would still be impossible to have so much yuan qi. Buzz. After taking out the phantom armor, Ningyu exerted his soul force and controlled the phantom armor to burst out with a suction force, sucking the surrounding liquid vital energy into the armor. Crack! With the continuous absorption of the liquid vital energy, the phantom armor made a cracking sound. 1 day later, the phantom armor seemed to be growing bigger. The aura on it had increased to the peak of the earth middle level. 3 days later, the phantom armor had completely grown bigger. Its aura had reached the peak of the earth middle level and was advancing towards the earth upper level. Gotcha! On the 5th day, the phantom armor shattered with a loud bang, and a small armor flew out from it. And this small armor's aura had reached the earth upper level. The speed of the earth middle level phantom armor was comparable to a peak middle stage true martial realm martial artist. The speed of the earth upper level phantom armor was comparable to a peak late stage true martial realm martial artist. After the phantom armor was upgraded to the earth upper level, Ningyu put it away. After all, he could only stay in the ivory space for 10 days. He could not waste time on upgrading the phantom armor. Try to divide the cyclones. This was the most important thing. Shio! At this moment, a cold light suddenly burst out of Ningyu's mind and moved back and forth in the ivory space. Ningyu had the urge to curse when he saw the cold light that suddenly shot out. Because the cold light was not something else, but a semicircular blue pendant. What the F***CK? Why is it you again? This time, Ningyu did not let the blue pendant absorb the liquid spiritual qi here. Instead, he put on the phantom armor and chased after the pendant, trying to catch it. Swish! However, the pendant was obviously faster than Ningyu. Even though Ningyu had used all his strength, he still could not catch up with the pendant. Voila! While escaping, the pendant burst out a strong suction force, crazily absorbing the liquid spiritual qi around it. Damn it, you can't do this. Ningyu could not help cursing, and his face was full of black lines. The ivory space was different from the pool on the 9th floor. There was not much energy in the pool on the 9th floor. As long as he refused to admit it, the black-robed old man would not find any clues. But it was different here. This was the ivory space. Ningyu could imagine that if the pendant absorbed all the liquid spiritual qi in the space, the gray-robed old man would definitely skin him alive when he left. However, Ningyu had no way to stop the pendant. He could only watch it absorb the liquid spiritual qi in the space. On the 1st day, the liquid spiritual qi in the ivory space was reduced by 1/20th. On the 2nd day, it was still reduced by the same amount. In the following days, the liquid spiritual qi in the ivory space was decreasing at a steady rate. Crack! 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 Chapter 182. The pendant's actions caused Ningyu to be somewhat dumbfounded. Previously, after the pendant had absorbed the energy in the pool, it had directly entered his sea of consciousness and hibernated in the chi whirlpool. Why was it hovering above his head this time? Moreover, there were 4 cracking sounds coming from the pendant just now. In addition to the 2 cracking sounds that came from the pool on the 9th level, there were a total of 6 sounds. Did these 6 sounds signify something? However, just as Ningyu was frowning in thought, a loud laughter came from the pendant. Ha ha! The sword devil, have finally reached the end. Kid, in order to repay you for helping me break the 6-light array, I will devour you as well. After the loud laughter, a red cold light shot out from the pendant and attacked Ningyu at an extremely shocking speed. A red flying sword? Ningyu's eyes were extremely sharp. The moment the cold light shot out, he discovered its true form. It was a red flying sword the size of a palm. Soul-breaking sword. Although he discovered that the cold light was a red flying sword, Ningyu did not dare to be careless. He wrapped his yuan chi around the soul-breaking sword and slashed it down from the sky. Ding! Following that, the 2 flying swords slashed together and exploded with a crisp sound. After the attack, the red flying sword quickly retreated. You are actually so strong. The sword devil's voice rang in Ningyu's ears, extremely shocked. Who are you? Holding the soul-breaking sword, Ningyu asked coldly. Through the previous exchange, Ningyu had already determined that the red flying sword could not defeat him. At most, their strength was on par. Since that was the case, there was nothing for Ningyu to be afraid of. He said in a low voice, "Why are you in the pendant? What is that hoodlum array you speak of? Could it be that you are a hoodlum? I'm going to faint." As soon as Ningyu's voice fell, the red flying sword shook and transformed into a young man wearing a red shirt. Kid, that's a 6-light array, not a rogue array. The red-robed man rolled his eyes and said, I've been trapped in the pendant for many years. They used the 7-star array to suppress my body and the 6-star array to suppress my spiritual body. If it weren't for your heaven-defying luck, I wouldn't have been able to break the 6-star array. Spirit body. Ningyu frowned. Then, his eyes narrowed as he pointed at the red-robed man. You're the sword spirit. Haha, you're quite smart. That's right, I'm the sword spirit of the red demon sword, the red-clothed man said with a smile. What do you mean by the 7-star array? Could it be that your true form, the red demon sword, is trapped in the 7-star formation? Ningyu asked. At the mention of the 7-star array, the red-clothed man's expression turned ugly, and he said fiercely, Don't let me run into that old bald donkey, or I'll teach him a lesson. Whoosh! At this moment, Ningyu, who was wearing the phantom armor and had his primordial chi wrapped around his feet, instantly arrived beside the pendant. Before the red-clothed man could react, he grabbed the pendant in his hand and threw it into his storage ring. The sudden change caused the red-clothed man's mouth to open slightly. He was somewhat dumbfounded. Very quickly, he came to his senses and shouted, Kid, if you know what's good for you, hurry up and return the pendant to me. Otherwise, I'll cut you into 8 pieces. Actually, it was no wonder that the red-clothed man had gone berserk. After all, his true form was still in the pendant. If the pendant fell into Ningyu's hands, wouldn't that mean that he would be restricted by Ningyu? With this thought, the red-clothed man turned into a red flying sword again and charged straight at Ningyu. Oof, you are not stronger than me. With a cold snort, Ningyu waved the absolute soul sword and slashed out several sky-piercing sword waves. All of them slashed at the red flying sword. Facing such a fierce attack from Ningyu, the red flying sword also slashed out several red sword rays to meet the sword waves. Puff! The sword rays and the sword waves collided and instantly disappeared. Damn it! Kid, tell me, what will it take for you to return the pendant to me? After the attack, the red flying sword shook its body and turned back into the red-clothed man. It said fiercely. The red-clothed man knew that his strength and Ningyu's were about the same. No one could defeat the other. Now that his true form was in Ningyu's hands, if Ningyu destroyed his true form, he would also disappear from this world. After all, he had not reached the realm of unity of spirit and sword. If his true form was destroyed, he would not live for long. It seems that you have not reached unity of spirit and sword. Seeing that the red-clothed man was so nervous, Ningyu smiled and said, I will not return the pendant to you, because it belongs to me. Seeing that the red-clothed man was about to go berserk, Ningyu changed the topic and continued, If you want me to return your true form to you, it is not impossible. However, the 7 stars killing array is very difficult to break. I am willing, but not capable. That is easy. There is still a lot of energy in the pendant. As long as it absorbs 3 times the liquid yuan qi in this space, you will be able to break the 7 stars killing array, the red-clothed man said in a low voice. What? More than 3 times the liquid yuan qi? Ningyu had the urge to curse. The red-clothed man had absorbed half of the liquid yuan qi in the ivory space, and now he said that he needed 3 times the liquid yuan qi. Why didn't he just rob him? Moreover, 3 times the liquid yuan qi in this space could not be broken into unless he went to some big family or sex treasure room. However, it was not so easy to break into the treasure room of a big family or a big family. That is nothing. I know some places where the yuan qi is very rich. The red-clothed man said disapprovingly, As long as you give me the pendant, I will naturally have a way to get the remaining yuan qi. Ningyu would definitely not give the pendant to the red-clothed man. Not to mention that the pendant was given to him by his father. Ningyu would not give the pendant to the red-clothed man just because of the red devil in the 7 stars killing array. A flying sword that could give birth to a spiritual body was at least a king-rank flying sword. Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, How about this? You follow me, and I will help you break the 7 stars killing array. Follow you? The red-clothed man said disdainfully, Who do you think you are to make me? The red devil. Follow you. Since you are not willing, forget it. Shrugging his shoulders, Ningyu said faintly, I'll leave the ivory space in one day. To tell you the truth, there's a powerful old man outside the ivory space. If he sees you, TSK, I don't dare to imagine it. The scene will definitely be very bloody. Ningyu felt a strong killing intent from the red-clothed man. In other words, he had killed a lot of warriors. If the old man in gray saw the red-clothed man, he would definitely capture him. Kid, don't use the old man's name to pressure me. The red-clothed man's heart shivered, but he still said fiercely, Believe it or not, I have no enmity with you, so I have no reason to lie to you. Sitting down cross-legged, Ningyu said. Although he was sitting down, Ningyu released his soul power, paying attention to the red-clothed man's movements. If the red-clothed man dared to make a move, he would attack immediately. Chapter 183. Damn it! Damn it! Seeing Ningyu sit down, the man in red suddenly became angry. His whole body exuded a biting cold aura, wanting to attack Ningyu. But thinking of Ningyu's powerful strength, the man in red took a deep breath and said, Boy, I can follow you, but you have to tell me, when can you help me break the Big Dipper array? In the man in red's view, it was not impossible to follow Ningyu, but Ningyu had to agree to help him break the Big Dipper array. You also said that breaking the Big Dipper array requires a lot of energy. Slightly frowning, Ningyu said, With my current strength and state, it will be difficult to find enough energy to help you break the Big Dipper array. You don't have to worry about this. Wait until we leave this damn place. I will tell you where to find energy. With that, the man in red's figure flashed, turning into a red afterimage, and directly attached himself to the soul-breaking sword. The man in red's action caused Ningyu's complexion to slightly change, and he was a little shocked. The soul-breaking sword was a devouring, flying sword, and the man in red could actually attach himself to the sword. He really had some skill. Swoosh! Putting away the soul-breaking sword, Ningyu sat cross-legged again and slowly operated the spirit transformation art. After the man in red's disturbance, there was only 1 day left in the 1-month time limit. In 1 day, Ningyu naturally could not complete the cyclone division, so he was very helpless. He could only operate the spirit transformation art to absorb the liquid yuan qi and strive to slightly expand the cyclone. Now, the yuan qi that Ningyu could hold in each cyclone was comparable to that of a peak middle stage true martial realm martial artist. But no one would complain that their cyclone could hold more yuan qi. After all, the bigger the cyclone, the more yuan qi it could hold. When fighting against an enemy, a little less yuan qi could lead to defeat. A day passed in the blink of an eye. When the 1-month time limit came, Ningyu only felt his vision go black, and his body seemed to be grabbed by a huge force and ruthlessly thrown out. Bang! On the 10th floor of the ivory tower, Ningyu was ejected from the stone door and fell to the ground. F***CK. Standing up from the ground, Ningyu really wanted to curse. The first time he came to the 10th floor of the ivory tower, he fell flat on his face. This time, if he wasn't prepared, he would definitely fall flat on his face too. Uncle could endure it, but Aunt could not. However, when Ningyu raised his head and saw the gray-robed elder in front of him, he forcefully swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue. If the uncle could endure it, so could the aunt. Still at the peak of the innate realm, the gray-clothed old man frowned slightly and asked, "It has been a month. Why do I feel that your strength has not increased by much?" Ningyu's current state was only slightly stronger than when he had first entered the ivory space, but not by much. At best, the essence energy in his spiritual sea had increased. With Ningyu's talent, it did not make sense that the capacity of his spiritual sea had only increased by a little after staying in the ivory space for a month. Previously, when Su Wui stayed in the ivory space for a month, his strength had increased by at least 5 times. In the eyes of the gray-clothed old man, even if Ningyu's strength could not be increased by 5 times, it should at least be increased by 2 times, right? The reality was harsh. Ningyu's strength had only increased by half compared to when he had entered the ivory space. "Senior, I practiced a kind of magic in the ivory space, so I was not in a hurry to increase my strength," Ningyu explained after hesitating for a moment. Judging from the gray-clothed old man's reaction, he should not know what had happened in the ivory space. Since he did not know, Ningyu did not intend to tell him. After all, there was only half of the liquid essence energy left in the ivory space. "Good. It's good that you can think this way." Nodding, the gray-clothed old man said, "When you were on the 9th floor of the ivory tower, you had already raised your cultivation to the peak of the Xiantian realm. In the ivory space, you were able to resist the urge to advance to the true martial realm. Not bad. Resist my A** guess. If I did not want to split the cyclones, I would have advanced to the true martial realm by now," Ningyu said in his heart. Now, Ningyu had 13 cyclones, and the maximum number of cyclones in the Xiantian realm was 16. He wanted to try to break through to 16 cyclones before advancing to the true martial realm. At the very least, he wanted to split the cyclones into 15. Before the Yuan Dan realm, the number of cyclones determined how strong one would be when advancing to the Yuan Dan realm. Although Su Wui did not show the cyclones to Ningyu, Ningyu could basically confirm that Su Wui had at least 10 cyclones, or even more. Otherwise, with the amount of yuan qi that Su Wui could hold, it would be very difficult for him to compete with him. Since you are the second martial artist to enter the 10th floor of the ivory tower, I can promise you one thing. Just as Ningyu was letting his imagination run wild, the gray-clothed martial artist said, "Promise me one thing." Slightly stunned, Ningyu did not expect that entering the 10th floor of the ivory tower would have so many benefits, and for a moment, he was stunned. Originally, he thought that entering the ivory space to cultivate for a month was already very good. Who would have thought that the gray-clothed old man would promise him one thing? One had to know that the gray-clothed old man was a Yuan Dan realm martial artist, or even an Yin Yang realm martial artist. Don't be in a hurry to say your request. Let me first tell you some of the situation outside the ivory tower. Waving his hand, the gray-clothed old man flicked his sleeves, and suddenly, a crystal was thrown into the air. The crystal was like a mirror, shrouding everyone in the square. Ningyu did not know what the gray-clothed old man meant, so he quietly looked at the crystal and did not say a word. Suddenly, the image on the crystal changed, and the scene on the high platform appeared. Who are these people? Looking at the people on the crystal, Ningyu frowned slightly. Apart from Yang Kun, he did not know any of the other martial artists. Swoosh! However, very quickly, Ningyu's expression changed because he saw a familiar figure on the high platform. A figure that was extremely familiar to him. Apart from Yang Kun, Lu Wei. Back in the Pill Dragon Valley, Lu Wei did not hesitate to go against the martial artists of the corpse sect for his sake. This kindness was something that Ningyu would never forget. Why is she here? Frowning slightly, Ningyu was a little confused. Logically speaking, Lu Wei should be taking the examination at Danwu College. Why was she in Ivory City? Everyone on the high platform is an outstanding person in the Great Xia Kingdom. Pointing at the crystal, the gray-clothed old man said, and their purpose here is very clear. They want to recruit you into their faction. Recruit me into their faction. Slightly stunned, Ningyu said, just because I made it to the 10th floor of the Ivory Tower. To be precise, they only know that you made it to the 8th floor of the Ivory Tower. They do not know that you made it to the 10th floor. The gray-clothed old man explained, if they know that you made it to the 10th floor, some hidden old monsters will definitely rush here. Now you have two choices. First, leave the Ivory Tower and join one of their factions. Second, I'll send you away quietly. This way, there won't be a lot of unnecessary trouble. Chapter 184. Trouble. Ningyu was stunned when he heard the gray-robed elder's words. What kind of trouble will she be in? Actually, it's not that big of a problem. That little girl knows you, but the cultivators around her are all here for you. If you leave quietly, they will definitely capture the little girl and try to find clues from her, the gray-robed old man explained. This doesn't make sense. How did Lu Wei know that I'm in the Ivory Tower? Ningyu was puzzled. In the Ivory City, only two people knew his identity, Yang Yu and Yang Kun. Yang Yu was in the Ivory Tower and naturally wouldn't reveal his identity. Could it be Yang Kun? Ningyu's face darkened at the thought of this. His identity must not be known to more people, or the consequences would be unimaginable. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu pointed at Zhang Jun Sr., who is the cultivator beside the middle-aged man. Him? He is the current head of the Zhang family in the capital, and is at the primordial core realm, the gray-robed elder answered. TSS. Ningyu gasped when he heard this. He killed Zhang Wenyong in the Elixir Dragon Valley, and killed Zhang Jin in a domineering manner. If the current head of the Zhang family saw him, he would definitely kill him immediately. At this moment, choosing to leave the Ivory Tower quietly was the best choice, and also the safest choice. However, when he saw the anxious Lu Wei on the crystal, Ningyu clenched his teeth and said, Senior, I choose the first option, but I will not join any faction. You will not join any faction? The gray-robed elder was a little shocked. After a while, he said, Don't regret it. There are people from the Sacred Institute of Danwu College outside. As long as you agree to them, you can enter the Sacred Institute to cultivate. In the Great Xia Kingdom, the Sacred Institute of Danwu College is one of the 3 sacred cultivation grounds. Senior, I need your help with something. Since he had chosen the first option, Ningyu would definitely not back down. However, he was not a fool and would not leave the Ivory Tower just like that. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu said, Please change my appearance and aura so that they won't be able to recognize my true appearance. If Ningyu were to go out with this appearance again, he probably wouldn't be able to live for long. At the very least, the head of the Zhang clan would be the first to make a move. Moreover, there was a wise saying that Ningyu would never forget. A genius that had not grown up was not a genius. All right, I'll agree to this. Nodding his head, the gray-clothed old man swung his sleeve. Immediately, a bag of brown powder flew out and landed on Ningyu's body. After the brown powder landed on Ningyu's body, it wrapped around his skin and slowly entered his body. Buzz! A moment later, Ning Yu's aura underwent a tremendous change. Early stage of true martial realm. Now, Ning Yu's aura had reached the early stage of the true martial realm. In the eyes of the martial artists outside, your current cultivation is at the early stage of the true martial realm. Feeling Ning Yu's aura, the gray-clothed old man was somewhat satisfied and said, "The aura-changing powder can maintain your aura for 6 hours, so you only have 6 hours. After 6 hours, your aura will return to the peak of the Xiantian realm." "Thank you, Senior," Ning Yu said hurriedly. Waving his hand, the gray-clothed old man continued, "Don't thank me yet. Although your aura has changed, your appearance hasn't. Next, let me change your appearance." At the same time, outside the ivory tower on the high platform, many martial artists were waiting anxiously, especially the head of the Zhang clan, Zhang Jun, who had an ugly expression and said coldly, "It's been so long. Why hasn't he come out from the 8th floor of the ivory tower yet?" Rolling his eyes, drunken cloud manners, Xiao Chong said indifferently, "He can't even wait this long. I advise you to go home early. Isn't it good for him to stay longer in the 8th floor of the ivory tower? Maybe he can make it to the 9th floor." "You." Zhang Jun's expression turned cold and said gloomily, "No matter how many floors he passes, he will definitely not join the drunken cloud manor." Xiao Chong shrugged and did not deny it. In the beginning, Xiao Chong came brimming with confidence. But when he saw the Danwu Academy's Feng Yuanzi and the Imperial family's Mu Sanming, he faintly had the thought of giving up on recruiting genius martial artists from the ivory tower. He knew that his chances of competing with Danwu College and the Imperial family for geniuses were slim. After all, Danwu College and the Imperial family were the two overlords of the Xia Kingdom. "Feng Yuanzi, do you think this genius martial artist will make it to the 9th floor?" As time passed, Mu Saming's expression became a little serious, and he could not help but ask, "Third brother Mu, what's the hurry?" Sitting on the chair, Feng Yuanzi's eyes were still closed. He said calmly, "No matter which level this genius martial artist reaches, he is still a member of the Sacred Institute. He has nothing to do with you. So, you should give up on this idea. Don't be complacent. We are determined to win this time," Mu Saming said in a low voice. Crash! At this moment, a gap suddenly appeared on the 6th floor of the ivory tower, and then a figure was ejected out. "Look, someone came out from the 6th floor of the ivory tower. Who is it?" "Yang Yu. It's Yang Yu. I didn't expect it to be him." Now it seems that one of the martial artists on the 8th floor of the ivory tower has been eliminated. I wonder if it will be Zhang Hu. It's hard to say. Zhang Hu is stronger than Yang Yu. If Yang Yu can pass the 6th floor, maybe he can pass the 8th floor. Seeing a martial artist ejected from the ivory tower, Feng Yuanzi and the others changed their expressions and stood up from their chairs at the same time. However, when they saw that the cultivator had been ejected from the 6th floor, they all looked disappointed and sat back in their chairs. However, Yang Kuan was different from them. The moment Yang Yu was ejected, he flashed and came to Yang Yu's side. Although it was confirmed that the martial artist on the 8th floor of the ivory tower was not Yang Yu, Yang Kuan was not disappointed at all. Instead, he was very happy. For him, it was the best result that Yang Yu could come out alive. "Father, I didn't expect." Yang Yu took a step forward and was about to speak, but he was interrupted by Yang Kuan. "Now is not the time to talk. Talk to me when we go back," Yang Kuan said in a low voice. Hearing this, Yang Yu looked at the high platform. He was really surprised by what he saw, especially when he felt the strong aura coming from the high platform. He immediately shut his mouth and followed Yang Kuan in silence. Because all the martial artists on the high platform, except for the young woman, were more powerful than him. "It's not Ning Yu." Seeing Yang Yu, Lu Wei looked disappointed. However, she did not say it out loud this time. Instead, she thought to herself, could the martial artist on the 8th floor really be Ning Yu? Whoosh! However, not long after Yang Yu was ejected, another figure flew out from the ivory tower. This time, many of the martial artists on the high platform stood up in unison and stared at the martial artist who had flown out. This was because this martial artist had flown out from the 8th floor of the ivory tower. Shamelessly ask for monthly votes. 5 monthly votes and 1 chapter. How many monthly votes do you have? Also, if you haven't joined the group, please join the group. The group number is at the top of the book review section. I hope you guys can come out and comment. The book review section is too quiet. Chapter 185. Someone came out of the ivory tower again, and it's from the 8th floor. What? The 8th floor of the ivory tower? That's right, it's indeed the 8th floor of the ivory tower. He doesn't look like Zhang Hu. Not Zhang Hu. Who is it? The instant the figure shot out, the square burst into exclamations of surprise. The focus of everyone's discussion was the true identity of this martial artist. After all, no one had seen this martial artist before. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. On the high platform, Feng Yuanzi and the others did not care about this martial artist's true identity. The moment he flew out, they rushed out and surrounded him. May I know why you are blocking my way? Ningyu had already guessed that this would happen, so he was not too surprised. Instead, he said in a deep voice, "If there's nothing else, I'm leaving." "Huh? How should I address you, my young friend?" Feng Yuanzi smiled and said, "Let me introduce myself first. I'm from the Sacred Institute of Danwu College. I'm from Drunken Cloud Villa," Xiao Chong said. "I'm from the Zhang family in the capital," Zhang Jun said. "My young friend, I'm from the royal family." "This is the third prince," Mu Sanming said. "Danyu," Ningyu said after a moment of silence. "Hiss." In the distance, Lu Wei trembled unnaturally when she heard Ningyu's words. Only now did she confirm that the martial artist who had reached the 8th floor was Ningyu. This was because Ningyu had said the name Danyu the first time he went to Snow Pavilion. At that time, only he and Elder Mo remembered it. No one else knew. "It's really him," Lu Wei murmured. Her body trembled uncontrollably because of her excitement. "Danyu, my young friend, this is not the place to talk. Why don't we go to the governor's mansion and talk?" Mu Sanming said. "What's so good about the governor's mansion? Why don't you come with me to Damu College?" Feng Yuanzi went straight to the point and said, "I promise you, as long as you follow me to Danwu College, I can make the decision to let you join the Sacred Institute." Hiss. Feng Yuanzi's words were like a sudden clap of thunder in the middle of the day, giving everyone a huge shock. Although they knew very well that martial artists who made it to the 8th level could join the Sacred Institute unconditionally, they were still very shocked to hear this from Feng Yuanzi. In the sacred courtyard of Danwu College, every martial artist that came out from there had at least reached the peak of the true martial realm, and there were even many martial artists who had advanced to the Yuan Dan realm. Hearing Feng Yuanzi's words, Mu Sanming could no longer sit still. He hurriedly said, "Young friend Danyu, as long as you join the imperial family, we will definitely nurture you as the first core disciple. You can even enter the Frost Manor to cultivate at will. You can enter the Frozen Mansion to cultivate at will." Mu Sanming's promise once again shocked everyone in the square. In the Great Xia Kingdom, there were 3 sacred cultivation grounds. The first was the Sacred Institute of Danwu College, and the second was the royal family's Ice Mansion. As for the third, it was the Corpse Sex Ghost Talent Cave. These 3 sacred cultivation grounds had produced more than half of the Great Xia Kingdom's geniuses. Moreover, the Frost Manor was previously only open to the imperial family. Even if a prince wanted to enter the Frost Manor to cultivate, he had to personally report and pass the examination before he could enter. Moreover, there was a time limit. Now, that Mu Sanming had actually promised Danyu that he could enter the Frost Manor to cultivate at will, this was a rare opportunity. "Danyu, although our Drunken Cloud Manor is not as good as the imperial family in Danwu College, as long as you join us, I promise you that I can even nurture you to become the next Manor Lord." Although he knew the chances were slim, Xiao Chong still wanted to fight for it. "Danyu, I don't want to say anything unnecessary. I only have one thing to say. Join the Zhang family in the capital, and you will have the chance to become the next Manor Lord," Zhang Jun said in a low voice. Hearing this, everyone in the square was already numb. If they were shocked by the olive branch extended by Danwu College and the imperial family at the beginning, then Xiao Chong and Zhang Jun's promise completely drove them crazy. So far, all the top forces in the Great Xia Kingdom, except for the Snow Domain Pavilion and a few hidden forces, had all sent invitations to Danyu. If life was like this, he could die without regrets. Not the one who killed Master Lung? At the edge of the square, the man in white quietly took out a crystal ball and looked at it, then murmured, "The aura of the early stage of the true martial realm. It seems that the one who killed Master Lung is someone else." The man in white knew that the one who killed Master Lung was at the late stage of the Xintian realm, but the martial artist in front of him was at the early stage of the true martial realm and did not seem to have just advanced to the early stage of the true martial realm. However, the man in white was a little confused. Didn't they say that only Xintian realm martial artists could enter the ivory tower? Why was the martial artist in front of him at the early stage of the true martial realm? Could it be that the ivory tower has a treasure that can slow down the passage of time? Thinking of this, the man in white's heart shuddered, and his face revealed an ecstatic expression. He said in a low voice, "I must tell the Hall Master this news. A treasure that can slow down the passage of time is too important to the Hall Master." As he spoke, the man in white's figure flashed, and he quietly left the square. On the high platform, the martial artist who came with Lu Wei looked a little anxious. He said, "Eldest Miss, should we try to recruit this Danyu? Uncle Wen, now that the Snow Domain Pavilion is in danger, how can we recruit Danyu?" Suppressing the joy in her heart, Lu Wei said solemnly, "Our goal this time is very clear. Find Ningyu, and find a way to contact his master. Eldest Miss, Danyu is so talented. Maybe his master is even more powerful than Ningyu's master." The middle-aged man who was called Uncle Wen obviously did not want to give up. He said, "Besides, we just came back from Tianxian City, and we didn't see Ningyu there. Why don't we try to recruit Danyu?" Lu Wei fell silent. After thinking for a moment, she nodded and said, "All right, I'll try." Swoosh! Then, Lu Wei's figure flashed, and she landed next to Ningyu. "Little girl from the Snow Domain Pavilion, you also want to recruit Danyu?" Seeing Lu Wei, Feng Yuanzi and the others were slightly startled. "Seniors, my father just sent me a message, asking me to give it a try," Lu Wei said as she cupped her fists at the crowd. He a message? At this moment, the corner of Zhang Jun's mouth curled up, and he smiled evilly. "Your father must be busy refining elixirs. Why would he send you a message? In my opinion, you should hurry back to the capital. You might be able to see your mother for the last time." Lu Wei's expression was a little ugly, but she was very clear that she was the weakest here, and she must not get angry. Taking a deep breath, Lu Wei said to Ningyu, "I don't have many promises, but you should know that the Snow Domain Pavilion is the largest medicinal herb store in the Xia Kingdom, and there are many medicinal herbs in it." Chapter 186. "Oh, Shuiyu Pavilion can provide me with the herbs I need for free?" As soon as Lu Wei finished her words, Ningyu raised his eyebrows and smiled. "That's a tempting offer. Daniel, my young friend, we have plenty of herbs." Seeing that Ningyu was tempted, Mu Saming hurriedly said, "Join the royal family. I promise you won't regret it. Everyone, stop fighting. Danyu is already a member of our Danwu Academy. You guys should stop meddling here." Feng Yuanzi's tone was firm. "Our Sacred Institute has a rule that anyone who can reach the 8th floor of the Ivory Tower can enter the Sacred Institute unconditionally." Haha, just because you say he's a member of the Sacred Institute, does that mean he's a member of the Sacred Institute? Anyway, Daniel will definitely join the royal family this time, Mu Saming said in a low voice. "All right, Mu Saming, cut the crap. Let's see who's stronger." Feng Yuanzi and Third Elder Mu were at loggerheads. Feng Yuanzi said coldly, "Dan, you will belong to whoever wins. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Mu Saming's temper flared up. In fact, it was no wonder that Mu Sanming and Feng Yuanzi were fighting over Ningyu. They had received an order to recruit this genius no matter what. "Everyone, please allow me to say a few words." Seeing that Feng Yuanzi and the others were about to fight, Ningyu said loudly, "I want to make it clear that I already have a master, so I can only apologize to all of you. If my master finds out that I've joined another force, he'll definitely break my legs. Don't be afraid, Daniel. We're from Donwu College. You won't lose anything by joining Donwu College, Fong Yuanzi said proudly. Even if your master finds out, he won't blame you. You can become a guest elder of the royal family, Mu Sanming said. I'm really sorry to have caused everyone to think so highly of me. As soon as he finished speaking, Ningyu moved his feet and walked out of the square. Seeing Ningyu's action, everyone, including Fong Yuanzi, was dumbfounded. Ningyu actually rejected all of them? They were the representatives of the elite forces in the Great Xia Kingdom. Ningyu actually rejected them without blinking his eyes? This Danyu is not a fool. I don't think so. How could a fool reach the 8th floor of the ivory tower? Even if he isn't stupid, there must be something wrong with his head. He rejected all 5 peak powers invitations. There must be something wrong with his head. No matter which faction he joins, he is destined to become a dazzling star in the Great Xia Kingdom. Didn't you hear what he said? He already has a master. Even if he doesn't join any forces, his future achievements won't be low. Everyone in the square was shocked by Ningyu's actions. At first, they thought that Ningyu would join a force no matter what. Who would have thought that Ningyu would reject 5 top forces at once? Hua! After a short moment of shock, Fong Yuanzi and Mu Sanming reacted first. Their purpose of coming here this time was very clear. That was to recruit the genius who had reached the 8th floor. Therefore, before Ningyu reached the exit of the square, the two of them turned into a shadow and blocked Ningyu's way. Danyu, tell me, how can I join Donwu College? Fong Yuanzi said in a deep voice. Danyu, the door of the imperial family will always be open for you. Mu Sanming said, unwilling to be outdone. After thinking for a while, Ningyu spread out his hands and said helplessly, you are 2 forces. If I join one of them, the other will definitely not be happy. Instead of this, it is better not to join either force. This is a problem. Fong Yuanzi and Mu Sanming both fell in a deep thought. After a while, Mu Sanming said first, in fact, Donwu College can't be regarded as a force. After you join the imperial family, you can also enter the Sacred Institute to cultivate. The imperial family will not restrict your freedom. All we want is your attitude. Fong Yuanzi's eyes lit up and said, that makes sense. Donwu College is an institution. As long as you graduate, you can naturally leave easily. I see. Ningyu frowned and thought about the pros and cons. In fact, Ningyu was more inclined to join Donwu College. After all, the purpose of this trip to the capital was to join Donwu College. Now that he could enter the Sacred Institute to cultivate, it was better than nothing. As for joining the imperial family, Ningyu had never planned to do so in the first place. It was said that the imperial family was ruthless. Once he joined the imperial family, he would definitely become a machine to protect the dignity of the empire. As for the freedom promised by Mu Sanming, it was worthless. However, in front of Mu Sanming, Ningyu could not refuse. After a while, Ningyu said, okay, I agree to join Donwu College and become a foreign official of the imperial family. That's great. Everyone is happy. After getting Ningyu's affirmative answer, Fong Yuanzi and Mu Sanming smiled excitedly at the same time. It was of great significance to them to get such a peerless genius. It should be known that no one had been able to reach the 8th floor of the ivory tower for many years. However, Ningyu's next words stunned Fong Yuanzi and Mu Sanming. Although I agree to join you, now is not the time. Ningyu said, I have told Master that no matter which floor of the ivory tower I reach, I will go back and tell him. So in 3 months, I will go to the capital to find you. 3 months? Fong Yuanzi and Mu Sanming were a little confused. 3 months was not short, but it was not long either. At least he would not miss the battle for the imperial family and the 100 Academy battle. You can rest assured that I will definitely go to you in 3 months. I am afraid that you will not recognize me then. Ningyu smiled. Haha, how can I not recognize you? Fong Yuanzi also knew that it was not good to push too hard. Hence, he flicked his sleeves, and a golden token appeared in his hand. 3 months later, bring this to the Danwu Academy to look for me. At that time, I will personally receive you. Swish. Next to him, Mu Saming also took out a golden token and threw it to Ningyu, saying, "In 3 months, take this token to the imperial family. I will also meet you in person." Pa! After receiving the 2 tokens, Ningyu said, "Thank you, seniors. I will remember it. In 3 months, we will meet again." With that, Ningyu's figure flashed and directly rushed out of the square. Looking at Ningyu's back as he left, Fang Yuanzi said, "Third brother Mu, with Danyu's current strength, what rank do you think he will be in the true martial battle list?" After thinking about it, Mu Saming said, "It's hard to say. After all, he has just advanced to the true martial realm. In my opinion, he should be in the top 5,000. Haha, top 5,000? I don't think so. He can at least be in the top 3,000. Fang Yuanzi laughed. 3,000? Old Ghost Fang, you think too highly of Danyu. Mu Saming frowned and said, "I can believe that he can be in the top 3,000 of the true martial battle list in 3 months. But now, I don't believe it no matter what." Fang Yuanzi curled his lips and did not answer. Instead, he flew toward the high platform. Buzz! No one saw that when Ningyu left, Lu Wei could not help but tremble, because she heard a low voice in her ear. Chapter 187. It wasn't until Ningyu left for a few days that the atmosphere in Ivory City died down. However, another shocking thing happened in Ivory City. Zhang Hu, the peerless genius of the Zhang family, hadn't come out of the ivory tower for 3 days. He didn't come out of the ivory tower for 3 days. The result was obvious. He died in the ivory tower. This news was absolutely shocking to the entire Ivory City. Therefore, the head of the Zhang family, Zhang Zhe, went berserk and immediately led his family's experts to the city governor's mansion. If Mu Sanming and the third prince hadn't left yet, a fierce battle would have been inevitable. Even so, Zhang Zhe said that they must hand over Yang Yu, or he would fight to the death with the city governor's mansion. Yang Kuan's temper was not just for show. Moreover, with Mu Sanming's support, it was impossible for him to give in. However, fearing that Zhang Zhe would do something desperate, Yang Kuan begged Mu Sanming to take Yang Yu away that night. So early the next morning, Mu Sanming, the third prince, and the others left Ivory City. As for Yang Yu, he followed Mu Sanming to the capital. Whoosh! At the same time, in front of the city gate of Wutua City, a slightly thin figure stopped. Next to this figure was a puppy that stood upright on its hind hooves. "Dark Emperor, did you really ask Lu Wei to go to Ivory City?" Ningyu asked. Since leaving Ivory City, Ningyu had received the Dark Emperor's voice transmission, and then he ran away with the Dark Emperor. Since the powder could only last for 6 hours, Ningyu raised his speed to the limit and got rid of the experts in the real martial realm who were following him. After getting rid of the experts, Ningyu ran wildly for another 3 days, and on the 4th day, he arrived at Wutua City. Fortunately, the Phantom Armor had been upgraded to the upper grade of the Earth rank. Otherwise, even a horse would have died after running for 3 days. "Hey, Ningyu, this is the 328th time you've asked this question." The Dark Emperor was a little speechless and said, "Let me tell you solemnly, I was the one who told your little girlfriend to go to Ivory City." With that, the Dark Emperor rolled his eyes at Ningyu before swaggering towards the city gate. "All right, I'll trust you for now." Shrugging, Ningyu followed behind her. Look at that dog. It's actually walking upright." "Really? A dog that can walk upright is a special case. This dog is so cute. I wonder if that big brother will sell it." Ningyu blushed with shame when he heard the words around him. Was that little girl blind? Since when was the Dark Emperor cute? If she saw the ferocious appearance of the Dark Emperor, who knew what she would think? Shivering, Ningyu couldn't help but quicken his pace. Wutua City was a much smaller city than Ivory City. However, compared to Ivory City, Wutua City was much more famous. Firstly, Wutua City was very close to the capital, and the transportation was convenient. One could reach the capital in a day by flying beasts. Secondly, Wutuwa City was a transportation fortress that was adjacent to the Lanqing Kingdom. It was also the only place that could lead to the Lanqing Kingdom within a radius of a few thousand miles. The special geographical environment and convenient transportation made Wutuwa City very famous in the entire Great Xia Kingdom and even the Lanqing Kingdom. Because it was adjacent to the Lanqing Kingdom, Wutuwa City was a mixture of crooks and honest people. Even though the imperial family had stationed an army here to maintain order in Crow Guide City, the effect was negligible and could basically be ignored. In Wutuwa City, strength was the most important thing, and no one cared about anything else. This point was also displayed in front of Ningyu after he entered Wutuwa City. Kill. How dare you offend our green vegetable gang? You must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's gall. Oof. Our tomato gang isn't just for show. Brothers, kill them all. Why did you attack me? Why? You're an eyesore. The battle cries that came from the surroundings caused Ningyu's brows to involuntarily knit together tightly. After that, he signaled to the Dark Emperor with his eyes and left this place with quick steps. After a short moment, Ningyu and the Dark Emperor stopped at a weapon store. Because he had to wait for Lu Wei in Wutuwa City, Ningyu had to find an inn to stay in. Staying in an inn required spirit crystals. Ningyu's spirit crystals had been exhausted by him long ago, and there were only a few tins left. It was naturally not enough to stay in an inn. So, he chose to come to a weapon store and sell the few useless magic treasures on him. May I know how I can help you? Ningyu had just stepped into the weapon store when an attendant came up to greet him and said with a smile, "Our exquisite pavilion has a lot of magic treasures. I wonder what type you need." Exquisite pavilion? Hearing the attendant's words, Ningyu was slightly stunned. He didn't notice the name of the store earlier. So it turned out that this store was called Exquisite Pavilion. There's also an Exquisite Pavilion in Tianxian City. I wonder what's the relationship between the two. Collecting his thoughts, Ningyu said, "I'm not here to buy magic treasures. I have a few magic treasures to sell to you." Selling magic treasures? Hearing that, the attendant was obviously stunned and immediately said, "I wonder what grade of magic treasures you want to sell. All the magic treasures sold here might be slightly lower." "It's okay if it's lower. It's fine as long as you have spirit crystals." Ningyu didn't care about the price. To him, it was fine as long as he could pay spirit crystals directly. If the magic treasures on him were to be sold at an auction house, they might sell for a high price. However, it would be slightly slower to pay spirit crystals. Swoosh! Swoosh! With a flick of his wrist, 2 low-grade flying swords appeared in his hands. These are 2 low-grade flying swords. As long as the price is fair, I'll sell them to you. Ningyu directly threw the 2 low-grade flying swords to the attendant and said indifferently, "Please wait a moment." After receiving the 2 flying swords, the attendant said goodbye and ran towards the second floor. Ningyu wasn't in a hurry. Instead, he casually found a chair in the hall and sat down. "I thought you were going to sell some magic treasures. So it's 2 low-grade Earth-rank flying swords." On another chair, the Dark Emperor curled his lips and said, "2 low-grade Earth-rank flying swords are at most worth 20,000 high-grade spirit crystals." 20,000 high-grade spirit crystals is still considered little? Ningyu was slightly speechless. To him, a single high-grade spirit crystal wasn't little. At the very least, 20,000 high-grade spirit crystals could solve his urgent need and allow him to find a comfortable place to stay. "Up to you." Shrugging, the Dark Emperor leaned back on the chair and said indifferently. Looking around the hall, Ningyu was slightly shocked, because he had already noticed 5 Xiantian Perfection Realm Warriors. 5 Xiantian Perfection Realm Warriors walking side by side. Among the 5 warriors, the youngest was only 22 or 23 years old, while the oldest was only around 30 years old. It seems like in the Great Xia Kingdom, this is the real gathering place of geniuses. Slowly retracting his gaze, Ningyu mumbled, "The 5 of them can probably be ranked in the top 200 on the innate realm combat list." Moreover, the leading martial artist was very powerful, even more powerful than Yang Yu. Chapter 188. Russell. Just as Ningyu was shocked by the strength of the 5 warriors, an old man walked down from the second floor. In the old man's hands were 2 earth-ranked, lower-grade flying swords. They were the ones that the servant had taken from Ningyu. "How should I address you?" The old man came to Ningyu's side and asked. "My name is not important. What's important is how many yuan crystals these 2 swords are worth." Ningyu waved his hand and said, "Even though these 2 are earth-ranked lower-grade flying swords, they are of high quality." The old man said, "How about this? I will give you 25,000 yuan crystals. That's a fair price." After thinking for a while, Ningyu decided to sell the swords. After all, 25,000 yuan crystals was a good price. Even in the auction house, it could only be sold for 27,000 yuan crystals. Plus, there was a fee. Swoosh! With a flick of his wrist, the old man threw a storage pouch to Ningyu. "Check it. There are 25,000 yuan crystals inside. If there are no problems, these 2 earth-ranked lower-grade flying swords belong to the House of Excellence." The old man said. Checking the storage pouch, Ningyu nodded and said, "That's right. The amount is just right." Keeping the storage pouch, Ningyu stood up and walked towards the door. However, before he could leave, a voice entered his ears. "Young warrior, please wait." Ningyu looked back and saw a 30-year-old Xiantian realm martial artist walking towards him from among the 5 Xiantian realm martial artists. The 30-year-old warrior stopped in front of him and said, "Let me introduce myself. I am Cheng Hai." "Cheng Hai, I don't think I know you." Ningyu calmed himself down and said calmly, "Hee, of course you don't know me. It is fate that brought us together. From now on, we will know each other." Cheng Hai laughed. "Say it, what's the matter?" Ningyu knew that Cheng Hai would not look for him for no reason. There must be something. "I won't beat around the bush. I need your help with something." Cheng Hai lowered his voice slightly and said, "After the matter is done, you can obtain at least 1,000,000 high-grade essence crystals." Huh. Ningyu's heart went cold. What kind of matter could actually obtain 1,000,000 high-grade essence crystals? Could this Cheng Hai be bluffing him? "I'm sorry, my strength is too low. I'm afraid I won't be able to help you," Ningyu said without batting an eyelid. "As for 1,000,000 high-grade origin crystals, it looks like I don't have the fortune to enjoy them." With that, Ningyu strode out of the finest grade pavilion. Behind him, the Dark Emperor did not even look at Hai and the others as he quickly followed behind Ningyu. "Kaka!" Cheng Hai clenched his fists tightly as he stared at the back of the man and dog. His face was a little gloomy. "Brother Hai, the 5 of us are enough. I don't think we need to invite anyone else, right?" A martial artist beside Cheng Hai said. Another martial artist echoed. "That's right, Brother Hai. With the strength of the 5 of us, can't we even deal with a mere rank 4 demonic beast?" "What do you know?" Cheng Hai said in a low voice. "That demonic beast is not an ordinary rank 4 demonic beast. I'm afraid it has already reached the late stage of rank 4. Its strength is comparable to a martial artist at the peak of the true martial realm." "What?" Hearing this, the other 4 martial artists revealed an expression of disbelief. Although the 5 of them were strong and ranked at the top of the innate realm battle board, it was still a little difficult to deal with a late-stage rank 4 demonic beast. "Brother Hai, you mean to say..." Suddenly, a martial artist beside him seemed to have thought of something and exclaimed, "That martial artist has the strength to defeat a late-stage rank 4 demonic beast. I don't know if he can defeat a late-stage rank 4 demonic beast. I only know that his strength is not weak. He can even be compared to me." Cheng Hai said. "He can actually be compared to Brother Hai." The other 4 martial artists were shocked once again. One had to know that Cheng Hai's cultivation was at the innate full realm, and he was ranked 80th on the innate realm battle board. If he could be compared to Cheng Hai, didn't that mean that Ningyu could also be ranked in the top 100 on the innate realm battle board? Sha. With regard to the shock of Cheng Hai and the rest, Ningyu did not know and did not want to know. At this time, he had already left the Supreme Grade Pavilion and was strolling on the streets of Wu Tuo City, intending to find a place to rest. Wait. However, just as Ningyu was searching the inn, a voice suddenly entered his ears. Hearing this voice, Ningyu raised an eyebrow and turned to look at the Dark Emperor, because the voice in his ears did not come from anyone else but the Dark Emperor. Ningyu, the two martial artists in front, are strange. The Dark Emperor's mouth moved, but the voice rang in Ningyu's mind. Frowning slightly, Ningyu looked ahead. Not far ahead, there were two young martial artists whose cultivation was around the late stage innate realm. What's the problem? Ningyu asked doubtfully. I suspect they are from the corpse-ean sect, the Dark Emperor said in a deep voice. No way. Did you get the corpse-ean sect syndrome? Everyone looks like they are from the corpse-ean sect. Ningyu opened his mouth and said, How are you sure they are from the corpse-ean sect? In Ningyu's view, the two young martial artists in front of him were ordinary and not from the corpse-ean sect at all. Intuition. After saying this, the Dark Emperor's front hooves landed on the ground. He concealed his aura and walked toward the two martial artists in front of him. I'm going to faint. Ningyu was a little embarrassed. If he could determine who was from the corpse-ean sect with intuition, then the Dark Emperor was too amazing. Afraid that the Dark Emperor would cause trouble, Ningyu quickly stepped forward and dragged the Dark Emperor's tail into the alley. After all, this was Wu Tuo City, where good and bad people mixed together. With his and the Dark Emperor's strength, it was better not to cause trouble. Even if they were from the corpse-ean sect, there was no need to go against them now. Moreover, there were only two late-stage Xiantian cultivators. Being dragged by Ningyu by the tail, the Dark Emperor was obviously a little angry. He bared his teeth at Ningyu and said, Put me down, we can't let them leave. The Dark Emperor's resentment toward the corpse-ean sect had reached an extreme point. As long as it was someone from the corpse-ean sect, he wanted to kill them. Don't be impulsive. Even if you want to kill them, you can't do it in Wu Tuo City. After throwing the Dark Emperor into the alley, Ningyu said in a deep voice, When they leave Wu Tuo City, we will follow them and confirm their identity. If they are from the corpse-ean sect, it won't be too late to deal with them outside Wu Tuo City. After thinking about it, the Dark Emperor felt that what Ningyu said was reasonable, so he shrugged his shoulders and disappeared into his storage ring. Finally obedient. After the Dark Emperor disappeared, Ningyu let out a long breath. He was really afraid that the Dark Emperor would make a move in Wu Tuo City. For a city as important as Wu Tuo City, even if there were Yin-Yang realm martial artists, Ningyu wouldn't be surprised. Swish! However, just when Ningyu was about to leave the alley, a cold red light rushed out from his body and steadily landed in front of him. Red Devil. Chapter 189. Hee, don't be nervous. I have been observing for a long time. In this city, no one can discover that I am a spirit body. Waving his hand, Hong Mo smiled. I came out this time mainly to discuss something with you. What is it? Ningyu said in a deep voice. Actually, it's nothing big. I just sensed a place with powerful origin chi. Hong Mo said lightly. By the way, do you want to collect that origin chi? Oh, I didn't expect you to have the ability to sense energy. Ningyu raised his eyebrows and was slightly surprised. He only knew that Hong Mo was the sword spirit of the Red Demon Sword, but he didn't expect Hong Mo to have the ability to sense energy. This ability was rare, and if used well, he could even find Yuan crystal mines. What's wrong with that? It's very simple. Hong Mo curled his lips and said, Tell me, are you going or not? Of course, how can I not go? Ningyu said, But I promised the Dark Emperor that I would first determine whether those two martial artists are from the corpse-ean sect. If they are, I will get rid of them. It's just killing two late-stage Xiantian martial artists. I can kill them in minutes. Saying that, Hong Mo's figure flashed and flew out of the alley. Hong Mo, don't do it here. Seeing Hong Mo's movements, Ningyu hurriedly said, I naturally won't do it in Wu Tuo City. Hong Mo's voice sounded in Ningyu's ears. Go quickly. If you're a step late, you won't be able to see them. With a change of expression, Ningyu stepped out of the alley. When he saw the two martial artists walking into the distance, Ningyu quickly stepped forward and walked side by side with Hong Mo swish. The two late-stage Xiantian martial artists first circled around Wu Tuo City, then took a shortcut and left Wu Tuo City. buzz. As soon as they left Wu-Ta City, the two young martial artists transformed into two middle-aged men. Moreover, their cultivation had also changed from late-stage Xiantian to late-stage true martial realm. Hiss! Ningyu could not help but suck in a breath of cold air when he felt the powerful aura coming from the two warriors. It seemed like there was indeed something strange about them. As for whether or not they were people from the corpse sect, he would have to investigate further. The next moment, the two middle-aged men's figures flashed, and they quickly rushed into the distance. Upon seeing this, Ningyu's heart shook, and he immediately summoned the Phantom Armor. Fortunately, the Phantom Armor had been upgraded to high-grade Earth Step, and its speed was comparable to a martial artist at the peak of the late stage of the true martial realm. Otherwise, facing the two middle-aged men, Ningyu would not be able to catch up. Rumble. Ningyu flew behind the two middle-aged men for about an hour before he abruptly stopped. There's a battle ahead. Hearing the rumbling sounds coming from afar, one of the middle-aged men said in a deep voice, "Should we go around it? Let's take a detour. We can't afford to delay young Master Luo's plans," another middle-aged man said. Yes, in the next assessment of the Ghost Talent Hall, young Master Luo is determined to get into the top 5. The first middle-aged man who spoke nodded and said, "Let's hurry up and send that thing over." With that, the two middle-aged men's figures flashed, and they changed direction and flew into the distance. Ghost Talent Hall. It seems that they are indeed people from the corpse sect. Although the distance was quite far, Ningyu could still hear the middle-aged man's words. From their conversation, Ningyu judged that young Master Luo should also be from the Ghost Talent Hall, and his ranking in the Ghost Talent Hall was not low. At the very least, his ranking in the Ghost Talent Hall was higher than Zhang Hu's. Ningyu, should we chase after them? Seeing the middle-aged man leave, Hong Mo asked. Chase after them. Gritting his teeth, Ningyu said, "I want to see what kind of person young Master Luo is." However, just as Ningyu was about to set off, his complexion suddenly became gloomy. This was because he heard a loud shout. "How dare you? How dare you ambush us? We are from the Snow Pavilion." Not far away, in a wide open space, more than a dozen martial artists formed a circle. In the middle of these martial artists, there were two people, a man and a woman. The man was in his 40s and was at the late stage of the true martial realm. The woman was very young, about 20 years old, and was at the early stage of the Xiantian realm. "Eldest miss, I will stop them later. You find a way to leave here." The man in his 40s said in a low voice. "Uncle One." Lu Wei opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but she closed it again and did not say anything. Not long after they left Ivory City, they were targeted by more than a dozen martial artists. However, these martial artists did not attack at first, but chose to bare their claws and teeth not far away from Wu-Ta City. Fortunately, the cultivation of these martial artists was not very high. The most powerful one was only at the peak of the middle stage of the true martial realm. Otherwise, with Uncle Wen's cultivation of the late stage of the true martial realm, it would be impossible for him to persist for so long. Hee, you are like a clay bodhisattva crossing the river. You can't even protect yourself, and you still want to let that little beauty go. Among the martial artists, a black-robed martial artist at the peak of the middle stage of the true martial realm laughed and said, "If you know what's good for you, surrender as soon as possible, and maybe I will let you die in one piece." "Who the hell are you?" Lu Wei took a step forward and asked in a deep voice. "Want to know who we are?" The corners of his mouth slightly rose, revealing a touch of an evil smile. The black-robed man said, "Well, since you are about to die, there is no harm in telling you. Listen carefully. We are from the capital, the Zhang family." The capital Zhang family. Lu Wei's face turned cold, and she could not help clenching her fists. In fact, you don't have to worry. Our patriarch invited you back. He will not kill you." The black-robed man continued. "Patriarch just wants to know, what is the relationship between you and the martial artist who broke into the 8th floor of the Ivory Tower?" Before Ningyu came out of the Ivory Tower, Zhang Jun already felt that Lu Wei knew him. When Lu Wei extended the invitation to Ningyu, Zhang Jun carefully observed Ningyu and found that Ningyu's expression changed slightly. Moreover, after Ningyu left, Lu Wei revealed a happy expression. Although she quickly concealed it, Zhang Jun still noticed it. Therefore, Zhang Jun decided to send someone to stop Lu Wei and ask her who the martial artist in the ivory tower was. I already said I don't know that, Daniel. Lu Wei said coldly. It's useless to talk to me here. Go back and talk to the patriarch. The black-robed man curled his lips and waved his hand. Then, the martial artist behind him flashed and rushed toward Uncle One. After the previous battle, Uncle One was already an arrow at the end of its flight. There was no need for the black-robed man to personally deal with him. After Uncle One was forced into another corner, the black-robed man walked step by step towards Lu Wei. As he walked, he said, "Give up resisting. Although your cultivation base is very low, you are quite pretty. Perhaps the patriarch will betroth you to young Master Tianwen." Young Master Tianwen is a peerless genius from Danwu College's Sacred Institute. You will have a great advantage if you follow him. Chapter 190. Let go of eldest miss, and I'll go back with you. Let go of eldest miss, and I'll go back with you. Uncle Wen's face contorted when he saw the man in black walking toward Lu Wei. He yelled, "I'll tell you everything you want to know." Noisy. The man in black raised an eyebrow and moved in a flash. He arrived beside Uncle One in an instant. His fist brought with it a violent yuan qi gale as it slammed into Uncle Wen's chest. Bang! The enormous force caused Uncle One to retreat a few meters back. Only when he collided with an enormous tree did he finally stop. Puffed. Uncle One spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His already pale face turned even paler and bloodless. Young Master Tianwen's talent is no less than Dan Yu's. If he were to challenge the ivory tower, he would definitely make it to the 8th floor. He might even make it to the 9th floor. After casually defeating Uncle One, the man in black turned to Lu Wei and said, "As long as you tell me Dan Yu's true identity, I'll plead with the patriarch to matchmake you and young Master Tianwen." What bullsh asterisk T Tianwen? Lu Wei's face darkened as she said coldly, "I don't know who Dan Yu is. Even if I did, I wouldn't tell you bandits." Hee hee, you won't shed a tear until you see your coffin. The man in black smiled faintly and said, "I must let you suffer a little. Otherwise, you won't be able to understand the situation before you." As soon as he finished speaking, the man in black unleashed his aura and charged toward Lu Wei without any regard for the consequences. Oh no! However, before the man in black's aura could reach Lu Wei, his expression changed. He quickly withdrew his aura and retreated. Swoosh! At that moment, a ray of red light shot toward him at an alarming speed. The man in black was stunned when he sensed the frightening, murderous intent from the ray of red light. While he was in a daze, the ray of red light had already arrived in front of him. It gradually transformed into a red flying sword and stabbed toward his chest. Swoosh! The man in black only reacted when the sword stabbed into his chest. He quickly gathered the yuan qi in his sea of consciousness in his chest and instantly released it. Buzz! The next moment, the red flying sword was pulled out of the black-clothed man's chest, turned around, and landed beside Lu Wei. Who is it? Stopping the bleeding on his chest, the black-clothed man's face darkened as he shouted at the person behind Lu Wei. Sha-sha! Not long after the black-clothed man finished speaking, a rustling sound was heard. Then, a slightly thin figure slowly appeared in the distance. Ningyu! Lu Wei's eyes widened as she stared at the gradually clearer face in the distance. She covered her mouth with her hand, and her face was filled with disbelief. She had never expected Ningyu to appear at this time and place. Ignoring the man in black's scolding, Ningyu moved his feet and arrived in front of Lu Wei. "Sorry, I'm late," Ningyu said apologetically. Ningyu knew that the reason Lu Wei was besieged by these martial artists was mostly because of him. If he hadn't asked Lu Wei to come to Wu Tuo City, Lu Wei would naturally return to the capital at the first instance, and there wouldn't be so many problems. Fortunately, he had left Wu Tuo City with the two middle-aged men. Otherwise, if Lu Wei was killed here, Ningyu would never forgive himself. No, no, no. I'm not late. Because of her excitement, Lu Wei even stuttered a little. However, thinking of the black-clothed man's powerful strength, she looked worried. Ningyu, they're all from the capital's Zhang family. The martial artist leading them is at the peak of the middle stage of the true martial realm. He's very powerful. Be careful. Little girl is a martial artist at the peak of the middle stage of the true martial realm, very powerful. Before Ningyu could answer, the red flying sword shook and turned into a red-clothed man. He curled his lips and said, "A true martial realm martial artist like him. I'll kill as many as there are." You? The transformation of the Red Devil into a human really surprised Lu Wei. Hong Mo, except for that black-clothed man, there's no need for the others to stay. Waving his hand, Ningyu said indifferently, "Understood." Licking his lips, the Red Devil once again turned into a flying sword, forcibly tearing the void and rushing towards the surrounding martial artists. Pucci, Pucci, Pucci. The strength of the Red Devil was very strong. Coupled with his unique killing moves, he killed these early and middle stage true martial realm martial artists as easily as chopping melons and vegetables. In just a dozen seconds, no less than 5 early-stage true martial realm martial artists had died tragically under his sword. Run. This is a demon. Sword demon. It's definitely the sword demon. If we don't leave now, there won't be a chance. Pucci. Under the powerful attack of the sword demon, the surrounding martial artists didn't even have the chance to escape. The sword demon was crazily slaughtering, and the blade of his sword even emitted a buzzing sound. He hadn't killed so crazily in a long time. Ningyu, is that a human or a ghost? Looking at the bloodthirsty Red Devil, Lu Wei's complexion was somewhat pale, and she said, "He won't go crazy and kill us, right? Hee, don't worry, he won't dare to kill us." With a slight smile, Ningyu said, "This time, it's all because of me. Don't worry, with me here, I won't let anything happen to you." Ningyu, can you save Uncle Wen? Nodding, Lu Wei carefully said. Swoosh! Just as Lu Wei's voice fell, Ningyu rose from the ground and instantly arrived beside Uncle Wen. Bang bang! With 2 punches, he repelled the 2 martial artists beside Uncle Wen. Then, Ningyu grabbed Uncle Wen and brought him to Lu Wei. "Uncle Wen, are you all right?" Looking at the extremely weak Uncle Wen, Lu Wei hurriedly asked, "Eldest Miss, I'm fine." Enduring the pain all over his body, Uncle Wen clenched his teeth and said, "A few of your tendons are broken." Ningyu released his soul force and probed Uncle Wen's condition. His expression was somewhat unsightly, and he said in a deep voice, "Before you recover, remember not to use your essence. Otherwise, all the tendons and veins in your body might break." Saying that, Ningyu said to the Red Devil, "Hurry up, we don't have much time." "All right, I haven't played enough yet." Hearing Ningyu's words, the Red Devil transformed into a human and shrugged his shoulders. Then, a soaring aura erupted from his body. After this aura erupted, his speed soared to the limit, turning into countless afterimages as he shuttled past the many martial artists. Plop! About a minute later, the Red Devil carried the man in black to Ningyu's side and threw him on the ground. "I brought this trash here. How you deal with him is all up to you." Throwing down this sentence, the Red Devil turned into an afterimage and entered the Absolute Soul Sword. "Answer a few of my questions." Looking at the sorry figure at his feet, Ningyu said, "If I answer your questions, will you spare my life?" Originally, the man in black thought that he would definitely die, but when he heard Ningyu's words, it was as if he had grasped the hope of survival. He quickly said, "Go ahead, ask as many questions as you want. As long as I know, I will definitely tell you everything I know. Remember, you're now a prisoner. You have no right to negotiate with me." Chapter 191. I choose the first one. The black-robed man was no fool. There's a chance of survival if he chose the first one, but he would definitely choose the first one if he chose the second one. Ningyu asked, "Who ordered you to capture Lu Wei?" The black-robed man replied, "The Zhang clan's head." Zhang Ju. Ningyu frowned. "Why do you want to capture her?" The clan head said that she might know Dan Yu's true identity. The black-robed man said, not daring to lie. Dan Yu's true identity? Ningyu pondered for a moment before continuing. "I want to know, did the Zhang clan secretly order for me to be captured?" This. The black-robed man hesitated for a moment before gritting his teeth and saying, "That's right. You're ranked 10th on the Zhang clan's wanted list. You're must-kill." "Oh, I'm only ranked 10th on the Zhang clan's wanted list? It seems like the Zhang clan doesn't take me seriously." Ningyu shrugged. At this moment, Lu Wei said, "Ningyu, it's already not bad for you to be ranked 10th on the Zhang clan's wanted list. All of the top 10 martial artists on the Zhang clan's wanted list are at the pinnacle of the true martial realm or even half-step primal core realm. You have to be careful. Few of the top 10 martial artists on the Zhang clan's wanted list are able to live for more than 3 years." Lu Wei was a little worried as she continued, "When I return, I will ask my father to send experts to protect you. It won't be that easy for the Zhang clan to kill you." "Hee. It won't be that easy for the Zhang clan to kill me," Ningyu said with a smile. He was no longer the same as before. After coming out of the ivory tower, his strength had increased by several times. Even if he faced a half-step primal core realm martial artist, he would be able to put up a fight. Furthermore, he had Hong Mo and the Dark Emperor by his side. Unless the Zhang clan sent out a primal core realm martial artist, he would kill as many as they came. "Answer my last question." Ningyu pondered for a moment before asking again, "How strong is Zhang Tianwen of the Zhang clan right now?" Zhang Tianwen is the Zhang clan's absolute prodigy, and he can even be ranked top 3 in the Great Xia Kingdom. It is rumored that his strength has already broken through to the true martial realm, but no one knows what realm he is at now. The black-clothed man answered honestly. Zhang Tianwen was very strong. He was always in the top 3 of the previous Xiantian battle rankings. In the recent Xiantian battle list, there was no sign of him. Therefore, everyone guessed that he might have broken through to the true martial realm. "That, you can let me go," the man in black said carefully. "Pucci." However, before the man in black could finish his sentence, a red cold glint swept out from Ningyu's body and ruthlessly pierced towards his neck. "You?" Touching the blood on his neck, the black-clothed man's eyes widened. He pointed at Ningyu and said, "You didn't keep your word." Thump. After saying this, the black-clothed man fell backwards with a thump. "I never said I would let you go." Ningyu spread out his hands and said indifferently, "Ningyu, this kind of person deserves to die. How dare he surround and kill your little girlfriend? He's already lucky that I didn't skin him alive." Hong Mo came to Ningyu's side and said, "This has nothing to do with you. Hurry up and get back into the soul-breaking sword." Ningyu rolled his eyes at Hong Mo and said coldly, TSK, what an ingrate. You have a wife and forgot me." Hong Mo smacked his lips and turned into a cold light, entering the soul-breaking sword. After Hong Mo disappeared, Ningyu said in a deep voice, "Lu Wei, the most important thing now is to return to Wu Tuo City and buy a meridian repairing pill to treat Uncle Wen." Actually, Ningyu had bought 2 meridian repairing pills from Bright King City in the past, 1 supreme grade and 1 high grade. The supreme grade meridian repairing pill was used to treat Ning He, and the other high grade meridian repairing pill was actually swallowed by the Dark Emperor at some point in time. Other than the high grade meridian repairing pill, Ningyu's only remaining 7th grade crystal jade pill was also swallowed by that big mouth of the Dark Emperor. Helpless, he could only think of another way to get the meridian repairing pill. "Little friend Ningyu, I can hold on," Uncle Wen said. "Pucci." However, he had just said this when Uncle Wen spat out a mouthful of dark red blood again, and his complexion became even paler. "Let's go." Seeing the situation, Ningyu grabbed Uncle Wen and quickly rushed towards Wu Tuo City. Due to bringing along Uncle Wen and Lu Wei this time, Ningyu's speed was much slower, and he spent an entire 6 hours before arriving at Wu Tuo City. After entering Wu Tuo City, Ningyu first found an inn and asked the Dark Emperor and Uncle One to stay. Then, Ningyu and Lu Wei walked towards Wu Tuo City's Snow Domain Pavilion branch together. Snow Domain Pavilion was the largest herb store in the Dexia Kingdom, with branches all over the Dexia Kingdom. In an important city like Wu Tuo City, they naturally had a branch. Entering the Snow Domain Pavilion branch, Lu Wei directly found the shopkeeper of the branch and revealed her identity. "Young miss, may I know why you are here?" The shopkeeper of Wu Tuo City's Snow Domain Pavilion branch was a middle-aged man in his 40s, called Wan Zhongqing, who was in the middle stage of the true martial realm. "Uncle Wan, find a way to help me get a meridian repairing pill with the fastest speed." Lu Wei went straight to the point, without any pleasantries. "The meridian repairing pill is a 5th-grade medicinal pill. There is no stock here." After thinking about it, Wan Zhongqing said in a deep voice, "How about this? 5 days. Within 5 days, I will definitely help you get a meridian repairing pill." 5 days is a bit long. 3 days, at most 3 days. Ningyu frowned and said, "If you can't get a meridian repairing pill in 3 days, the consequences will be unimaginable." Ningyu was the clearest about how serious Uncle Wen's injuries were. Although all the tendons and veins in his body were not completely broken, several of the most important tendons and veins were broken. If those tendons and veins could not be reconnected as soon as possible, Uncle Wen would most likely spend the rest of his life in bed. "May I ask who you are?" Originally, Wan Zhongqing thought that Ningyu was Lu Wei's follower, but now it seemed that Ningyu's identity was somewhat special. "Uncle Wan, his words are my words. Can you help me get a meridian repairing pill in 3 days?" Lu Wei said in a deep voice. Hearing Lu Wei's words, Wan Zhongqing's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness and immediately said, "3 days, I will try my best. Then I will wait for Uncle Wan's good news. I will come back in 3 days." Saying that, Lu Wei got up and left. Only when they were far away from this Snow Domain Pavilion branch did Ningyu ask in doubt, "Your Uncle Wan doesn't seem to care much about your request." Sighing lightly, Lu Wei said, "Sigh, in order to refine the life creation pill, Father has offended too many people. Let's go to the Alchemy Union to try our luck." This was Lu Wei's family affairs, so it was not good for Ningyu to interrupt. Since he did not have much hope for Wan Zhongqing, Ningyu and Lu Wei rushed to the Alchemy Union. Wu Ta City's Alchemy Union could be described as huge. Compared to the Alchemy Union in a place like Profound Sky City, it could only be regarded as a country bumpkin. The president of Wu Ta City's Alchemy Union had long been promoted to a 5th-grade pill master. It was said that he had already reached the peak of 5th-grade pill master and had even broken through the limit of a 6th-grade pill master. As the Alchemy Union was relatively large, when Ningyu and Lu Wei entered the Alchemy Union, they did not even have a guide. Ningyu did not care, and directly went to the front desk and asked, "May I ask, if I want to buy pills, who should I look for?" Chapter 192. Ningyu stood on the spot. "May I ask how I can?" A moment later, the young lady raised her head again. Just as she was about to speak, she stopped and asked, "Didn't I tell you? Go to the second room on the left and look for Master Sunday. I want to buy the meridian repairing pill." "Can Master Sun make it?" Staring at the young lady, Ningyu asked in a serious tone. "Master Sun is a 3rd-grade alchemist. The meridian repairing pill." "What? You want to buy the meridian repairing pill?" Before the young lady could finish her sentence, she hastily covered her mouth with her hand and asked carefully, "Are you sure you want to buy the meridian repairing pill?" "Absolutely," Ningyu answered. Please follow me." The meridian repairing pill was a 5th-grade medicinal pill. It was expensive, and Suyin did not dare to delay. She hurriedly left the reception desk and led Ningyu and Lu Wei inside. "Those 2 young men want to buy the meridian repairing pill." The meridian repairing pill is a 5th-grade medicinal pill. It's expensive. They must be from a big clan. It's good to be rich. They can even afford a 5th-grade meridian repairing pill. Let's just accept the mission. After Ningyu and his group left, the lobby was filled with discussions. However, Due to the large number of people in the Alchemy Union, the discussions did not last long. I didn't expect you to be so likable. Beside Ningyu, Lu Wei pouted. How am I likable? Ningyu was slightly startled. You're still denying it? The girl in front was blushing just now, Lu Wei said. Let's go. We should hurry and buy the meridian repairing pill. After saying that, Ningyu hastened his steps as if he was escaping. Not long later, Suyin stopped in front of an alchemy room. Knock, knock. Suyin knocked on the door a few times, then stood in front of the door and waited quietly. What is it? A moment later, a voice came from inside. Grandmaster Tong, someone wants to buy the meridian repairing pill, Suyin said softly. I don't have time now. Let them wait outside. Grandmaster Tong was clearly a little impatient as he spoke. Gentlemen, what do you think? Suyin could only shrug, expressing her helplessness. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu took a step forward and said in a clear voice, Master Tong, we really need the meridian repairing pill urgently. Bang. Before Ningyu could finish his sentence, a muffled sound came from the room. Creak. Then, the door slowly opened, and a white-bearded old man walked out with an angry look on his face. Kid, are you looking for a beating? Didn't I tell you to wait outside? The old man glared at Ningyu furiously. Grandmaster Tong, Seeing this, Lu Wei hurriedly said. The white-bearded old man waved his hand and interrupted her, then said in a deep voice, Get the hell out of here before I get angry. Even I'm afraid of myself when I get angry. For a moment, Lu Wei was a little embarrassed. She stood on the spot and did not know what to do. Slightly frowning, Ningyu looked into the room. We saw the scattered powder on the floor, the corner of Ningyu's mouth slightly curled up as he understood why the old man was so angry. Qi replenishing pill. The muffled sound just now was the sound of the old man failing to refine the Qi replenishing pill. The Qi replenishing pill was a 5th-grade intermediate medicinal pill that could instantly replenish one's Qi. And Qi replenishing pill could instantly replenish exhausted Qi. Of course, the effect of the Qi replenishing pill was not that miraculous. The Qi it replenished was at most equivalent to the Qi in the sea of consciousness of a peak innate stage martial artist. Moreover, the effect of the Qi replenishing pill was very overbearing and could only be consumed by true martial realm martial artists. If an innate stage martial artist were to consume it, their body might explode and they would die. This was because the body of an innate stage martial artist was too weak. Not only is the effect of the Qi replenishing pill overbearing, but the medicinal ingredients are also quite repulsive. Ningyu said calmly, although the Qi replenishing fruit can improve the final quality of the pill, adding too much will definitely result in an explosion. You also know about the Qi replenishing pill. The white-bearded old man's expression changed as he said, What do you know? If you want to refine a mid-grade Qi replenishing pill, you have to add an entire Qi replenishing fruit. Otherwise, the Qi replenishing pill that you refine is destined to be a low-grade one. It's not impossible to add an entire Qi replenishing fruit, but you use too few neutralizing medicinal herbs and 3 thread flowers. Ningyu continued, a fist-sized Qi replenishing fruit requires at least 5 3-thread flowers. If I'm not wrong, the batch of Qi replenishing pills you refined definitely did not last till the pill formation stage. It should have exploded during the fusion stage. What? This time, the white-bearded old man was finally moved, because what Ningyu said was not far from the truth. He indeed did not last till the pill formation stage, and the pill exploded during the fusion stage. I was fortunate enough to see Master refining the Qi replenishing pill. He told me the details that I need to pay attention to. Originally, I wanted to tell you, but now it seems that there is no need for that. Following which, Ningyu gave Lu Wei a look and walked out. Swoosh! However, just as Ningyu moved, the white-bearded old man blocked his way in a flash. I have the meridian repairing pill. If you want the meridian repairing pill, we'll have to see if you're capable enough. As he spoke, the white-bearded old man strode into the elixir refining room. Shrugging, Ningyu followed the white-bearded old man into the elixir refining room. As for Lu Wei, She hesitated for a moment before she followed him in. Outside the elixir refining room, Su Yun was dumbfounded when she saw the contrast between the white-bearded old man and before. In the beginning, when she saw the white-bearded old man's angry look, she was extremely nervous and even a little terrified. This was because the white-bearded old man was temperamental. If she angered him, it would not end well for her. However, after what Ningyu said, the white-bearded old man, surprisingly, did not continue to lose his temper. Instead, he allowed Ningyu and Lu Wei to enter the elixir refining room. This change was out of Su Yun's expectation. I'd better hurry back. Su Yun did not stay for long and left quickly. Swoosh! In the elixir refining room, the white-bearded old man waved his hand and swept the scattered powder on the floor to a corner. He then took out a storage bag from his sleeve. After pouring the medicinal ingredients in the storage bag onto the table, the white-bearded old man picked up a white fruit and said, "How many three-striped flowers do I need for this origin-returning fruit?" With a smile, Ningyu said, "My master said that an origin-returning fruit the size of a fist needs 5 three-striped flowers. The origin-returning fruit in your hand is about the size of 1.5 fists, so you'll need 7.5 to 8 three-striped flowers." Seeing the white-bearded old man frown, Ningyu continued, "My master also said that during the merging stage, it's not advisable to keep burning the bottom of the elixir furnace with a huge fire. You'll need to burn it slowly with a warm fire. Wait until the various medicinal liquids have merged halfway before increasing the temperature of the fire. You must complete the merging stage within 10 minutes. Only in this way would the final refined origin-restoring pill be of higher quality." Chapter 193. Ningyu shut his mouth. What other details do I need to pay attention to? The white-bearded elder was clearly unhappy. Tell me everything. Hee, Master Tong, it's been a long time. I've forgotten some of the details. Ningyu smiled. Oomph. Do you think I don't know what you're up to? Snorting coldly, Master Tong flung his sleeve, and a jade bottle appeared in his hand. Waving the jade bottle, Master Tong said in a low voice, "As long as you tell me all the details, I'll sell this medium-grade meridian repairing pill to you. You sure are straightforward." The corners of Ningyu's mouth curled up as he said, "Next, you can start refining the pill. My master has already told me all the details to pay attention to. If there are any problems during the refining process, I will remind you." Even though Ningyu couldn't personally refine the rejuvenating pill, he still had the experience from his past life. He knew all the details that needed to be paid attention to. Master Tong was a 5th realm intermediate alchemist, and his soul strength was at the 5th realm intermediate level. It could be said that with Ningyu's guidance, Master Tong should be able to refine a high-grade rejuvenating pill. "I'll trust you this time." Master Tong wasn't an indecisive person. He immediately tossed his cauldron into the air, grabbed a medicinal ingredient with his left hand, and threw into the cauldron. At the same time, a green flame appeared on the fingertip of Master Tong's right hand. He placed it at the bottom of the cauldron and slowly burned it. The green flame ranked 300th on the mystical flame list. Seeing the green flame on Master Tong's fingertip, Ningyu raised his eyebrow and mumbled, "With its help, I might be able to refine a supreme-grade rejuvenating pill." The rejuvenating pill had a high requirement for fire control. Between alchemists of the same level, the difference in fire could result in one of them producing a low-grade rejuvenating pill, while the other producing a supreme-grade rejuvenating pill. In the beginning, Ningyu thought that Grandmaster Tong only had ordinary flames, so he didn't say it out loud. Now that he saw the green flame on Master Tong's fingertip, Ningyu's confidence was boosted. He felt that there was hope for him to refine a supreme-grade essence-returning pill. The effect of the top-grade soul-restoring Dan was very good. It could even instantly replenish the consumed true chi of a middle-stage, true martial realm martial artist. As for the transcendent-grade essence-returning pill, it was very useful even for Yuan Dan stage martial artist. Master Tong was worthy of being a middle-stage 5th-grade alchemist. The preparatory work of refining the essence-returning pill was done perfectly without any problems. An hour later, Grandmaster Tong's eyes narrowed. He grabbed the origin-returning fruit and threw it into the cauldron. Then he grabbed 7 three-striped flowers and threw them into the furnace. Recalling Ning Yu's words, Master Tong broke off another half of the three-striped flower and threw it into the furnace. Grandmaster Tong, during the refining phase, used half of the green wenhua. Seeing that Master Tong had increased the temperature of the flame, Ning Yu hurriedly said, "The temperature should not be too high. Only increase the flame after the essence-returning fruit is completely refined." Hearing that, Master Tong turned around and glanced at Ning Yu. Then, the flame on his fingertip weakened by half, and the temperature dropped a lot. Control the three-striped flower to sink to the bottom of the cauldron. The three-striped flower requires a higher temperature. We must let it melt before the essence-returning fruit. After a while, Ning Yu spoke again. This time, Master Tong did not hesitate. He divided a bit of soul force into the cauldron and pressed the three-striped flower to the bottom of the cauldron. Sizzle. As soon as the three-striped flower sank to the bottom of the cauldron, it let out sizzling sounds. Not long after, 7.5 three-striped flowers had all melted into liquid. At this time, Ning Yu's voice sounded again. Let the three-striped flowers liquid wrap around the essence-returning fruit. Master Tong did not dare to be negligent. He quickly divided his soul force to control the three-striped flowers liquid to wrap around the essence-returning fruit and slowly immerse it into the essence-returning fruit. After another 15 minutes, the essence-returning fruit had completely turned into a pool of liquid. Next is the fusion stage. Use a warm flame to heat the cauldron first. Increase the flame after 15 minutes. Ning Yu said in a deep voice. The last time, Master Tong's pill exploded during the initial fusion stage. Hence, he was extra careful this time. Actually, this was not Master Tong's second time refining the essence-returning pill. Including the one a few days ago, he had refined a total of 8 cauldrons of essence-returning pills. Without exception, all of them exploded. Some were in the melting stage, and some were in the fusion stage. All in all, there would be all sorts of problems every time. This time, with Ning Yu's reminder, Master Tong had already persevered to the middle stage of fusion without any pill explosion. He looked forward to meeting Ning Yu's master even more. He was also very curious about how impressive a genius alchemist like Ning Yu had to be. Increase the flame. Complete the fusion stage within 10 minutes. Right at this time, Ning Yu's shout rang in Master Tong's ears. Master Tong's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly took out all the qing when fire and burned the bottom of the cauldron crazily. 10 minutes later, Ning Yu said again, next is the last stage. It's also the most important stage. Maintain the same flame and add a 3-striped flower. What? As soon as Ning Yu's voice fell, Master Tong's face changed into a shocked expression. Ever since he became an alchemist, he had never seen anyone add medicinal ingredients to the cauldron during the pill formation stage. Was Ning Yu crazy? It's up to you whether you believe it or not. That's what my master told me. Shrugging, Ning Yu declined to comment. After pondering for a second, Master Tong clenched his teeth, grabbed a 3-striped flower, and threw it into the cauldron. Use the biggest flame to burn the cauldron. Use your vitality as well. No matter what happens in the cauldron during this period, don't interfere. Ning Yu said calmly, you can only form the pill when I tell you to. Sizzle. Vitality gushed out of Master Tong's consciousness and burned continuously at the bottom of the cauldron. Crack, crack. Along with the high temperature, crackling sounds erupted from within the pill furnace, and the pill furnace was also constantly shaking. Master Tong was a little worried. He quickly shifted his gaze to Ning Yu. However, when he saw Ning Yu and Lu Wei chatting, he suddenly had the urge to kill someone. However, the current situation was out of his control. Helpless, he could only wait for Ning Yu's command. If I can't refine a superior grade qi replenishing pill, I'll make you pay. Master Tong thought to himself. Crack, crack, crack. 3 minutes later, the cauldron shook even more violently, and several cracking sounds came from inside. Bang, bang, bang. Another 3 minutes later, muffled bangs came from the cauldron. At that moment, Ning Yu's eyes narrowed, and he said in a deep voice, "Pill formation." Whoosh! Master Tong could not wait to form the pill. The moment Ning Yu said the word pill, he slammed the cauldron. Swoosh! In the next moment, a white pill with a smooth and round appearance, emitting a strong fluctuation of vitality, flew out of the pill furnace. When the pill flew out, Master Tong's figure flashed, and he grabbed the white pill in his hand. The moment he opened his palm, Master Tong's eyes widened and revealed an extremely incredulous expression. Chapter 194. A Supreme Grade Vitality Recovery Pill. That's not too bad. Beside him, Ningyu nodded as he sensed the dense aura coming from the white pill. He mumbled, "This medium-grade meridian cultivation pill won't be able to escape. I actually refined a Supreme Grade Vitality Recovery Pill." Master Tong only recovered from his shock after he placed the Supreme Grade Vitality Recovery Pill into the jade bottle. Master Tong originally thought that refining a medium-grade vitality recovery pill was already the best he could do. Who would have thought that the final pill would be a supreme grade vitality recovery pill? "Kid, what's your name?" Master Tong turned around and asked after putting away the jade bottle. "What kind of expert is your master to be able to raise such a freak like you?" Hearing Master Tong's words, Ningyu's face was filled with black lines. "What's a freak? At best, you're a freak." Although he was a little speechless, Ningyu still replied, "Ningyu, as for my master's identity, he doesn't allow me to tell outsiders." "Forget it. Experts all have the demeanor of an expert." Master Tong slowly let out a breath of impure air and no longer insisted. Instead, he waved his sleeve and a jade bottle appeared in his hand. "I promise you that as long as you can help me refine the energy replenishing pill, I'll sell the meridian repairing pill to you for 50,000 high-grade origin crystals. This middle-grade meridian repairing pill is yours." "Thank you for your kindness, Master Tong." 50,000 high-grade origin crystals for a medium-grade meridian cultivation pill was a fair price. However, although 50,000 high-grade origin crystals was not a lot, it was a huge sum of money to the current Ningyu. Feeling helpless, Ningyu could only shift his gaze to Lu Wei. "There are 50,000 high-grade origin crystals in here." Lu Wei rolled her eyes at Ningyu and took a step forward. She took out a storage bag and handed it to Master Tong. "Here you go." After receiving the storage bag, Master Tong tossed it aside without even looking at it. He then tossed the jade bottle to Ningyu. "Master Tong, we still have some matters to attend to, so we'll be taking our leave first." Ningyu put away the meridian repairing pill and gave Lu Wei a look before leaving the alchemy room. After Ningyu and the rest left, Master Tong's expression became somewhat solemn, because the maturity and steadiness that Ningyu displayed just now far exceeded that of people his age. This maturity was extremely rare. Furthermore, Master Tong secretly separated a wisp of his soul power to probe Ningyu. He wanted to sense the strength of Ningyu's soul power. Unfortunately, before his level 5 soul force could get close to Ningyu, it was bounced back by a rebounding force, causing him to be unable to discover any clues. If Ningyu doesn't participate in the alchemy conference this time, it's destined to lose a lot of its luster. Taking a deep breath, Master Tong slowly closed the door of the alchemy room. After leaving the alchemy union, Ningyu and Lu Wei did not hesitate at all as they rushed towards the inn without stopping. Not long later, they arrived at the inn and entered the room where Uncle One and the Dark Emperor were. Swoosh! "Ningyu, what took you so long? The Red Devil and I have some matters to attend to." Seeing Ningyu enter, the Dark Emperor jumped up from his chair and said, "I'll leave this place to you and your little girlfriend. We'll be back soon." Swoosh! Swoosh! As she spoke, the Dark Emperor stomped on the ground and rushed out of the room. The red devil leaped out from the soul-breaking sword and glanced at Ningyu before turning into a shadow and disappearing behind the Dark Emperor. When did the two of them hook up? Waving the soul-breaking sword, Ningyu was a little confused. Why would the red devil collude with the Dark Emperor? Shaking his head, Ningyu did not care about the two of them for the time being. After all, they were very strong. Unless they encountered a Yuan Dan realm martial artist, no one would be able to do anything to them. The most important thing now was to treat Uncle One. Lu Wei, go and guard the door. With a flick of his wrist, Ningyu took out the jade bottle containing the meridian repairing pill and said in a low voice, "Without my permission, don't let anyone in." "I know." Nodding, Lu Wei's figure flashed as she dashed out of the room and stood obediently by the door. She was very clear that Ningyu needed to use the meridian repairing pill to treat Uncle One and must not be disturbed. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, Lu Wei's legs were firmly nailed to the ground as she released her senses and looked straight ahead. Swoosh! In the room, Ningyu gently lifted Uncle Wen's chin and instantly threw the medium-grade meridian repairing pill into his mouth. Due to the experience of treating Ningyu previously, coupled with the great improvement in Ningyu's cultivation and soul force, Ningyu was very confident in treating Uncle Wen this time. The meridian repairing pill entered Uncle Wen's body and began to be slowly digested. Go! Ningyu did not want to wait slowly. After all, Uncle Wen had a few main tendons and veins that had to be treated as soon as possible. His soul force moved and instantly entered Uncle Wen's body, controlling the meridian repairing pill to quickly refine it. With the help of Ningyu's soul force, the meridian repairing pill was quickly refined. Traces of medicinal power were guided by Ningyu's soul force to a damaged tendon. The medicinal power slowly flowed into the tendons and veins and was absorbed bit by bit. At the same time, outside the room, Lu Wei was highly focused and did not dare to have the slightest bit of carelessness. In Shuiyu Pavilion, she had a very good relationship with Uncle Wen. If something happened to Uncle Wen, she would feel uneasy. Ningyu will definitely be able to cure Uncle Wen. Clenching her fists, Lu Wei thought to herself. Time passed little by little, and in the blink of an eye, night fell. Why is he not out yet? Could there be a problem? In front of the door, Lu Wei had a worried look on her face. From the time Ningyu treated Uncle Wen until now, a full 6 hours had passed. In these 6 hours, Lu Wei had been standing outside the door and did not move an inch. In the beginning, Lu Wei was still full of confidence in Ningyu, but as time passed, she could not help but mutter in her heart. There should be no problem, otherwise Ningyu will definitely come out. Taking a deep breath, Lu Wei murmured, "Swoosh! Xiao!" At this moment, two figures approached from afar and quickly appeared in front of Lu Wei. Looking at the two figures in front of her, Lu Wei was slightly startled and immediately said in a low voice, "Uncle Wan, what are you doing here?" The two figures that suddenly appeared, one was Wan Chongchong, the other was a young man in his 20s. Needless to say, Wan Chongchong, the young man's body was full of vitality, and his strength was not ordinary. "Haha, I am naturally here to bring you back to Shuiyu Pavilion." Wan Chongchong smiled and said, "Wutuo City is mixed with good and bad people. Anything can happen. Shuiyu Pavilion's branch is safer. You should follow me back to the branch." "There is no need. With Uncle Wan here, I am very safe." "Uncle Wan, please go back." Lu Wei said, "That's right. Where's Wanin? Let's not stand here. Let's go in first." Saying this, Wan Chongqing took a step forward and reached out to open the door. Shua. However, Lu Wei took a step forward and blocked his way. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.